Hey, can people hear us? Hold on, that just broke that as well. Let's try that again. Can people hear us? I think this is working.
Uh, I
Except
don't
other
know.
people are not talking.
Mr. Audit hears us. Oh, wait, that's true. That's true. We should talk.
If you don't, if you
It's hard to hear us if we don't talk.
if you don't talk, then definitely it will be tough for people to hear you. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
so I
been so
get
long. I forgot the proper way to do sound checks.
is an audio medium. Um,
Yeah.
so anyway, great. Yeah, it's been a while. Uh, but I'm here with actually two co-hosts today. We've got Isidafo and Liam. Did you want to say anything about yourself, Liam? Or
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Liam, based in Boston area, and yeah, I run the Newton Sloths.
nice. I think I've run into you in a fair number of tournaments this year. So
Just a couple.
Yeah.
um,
Every now and again.
so yeah. So this is we were not intending to do really a card rating stream. I think at this point the cards kind of well. I guess we just had the last content set, right? Uh, so
Yeah.
this is now
So
it for the next few weeks as they get ready to release 26.
yeah, I mean, I'm not planning to play beyond Sunday, 25. So card ratings certainly are not of a lot of relevance.
Um, yeah, but I think we did want to discuss some things about 26. I guess is it Afo and I at least were sort of really deciding whether we wanted to play. Um, kind of your mileage may vary on all that, but I think this is where we wanted to maybe get a little bit of a discussion about some of the things that we'd really like to have happen in 26, and you know if there's a way to get the game that we really want to have out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way I say it is like going into 24, 25, whatever. I was you know um, seeing if there were going to be reasons not to play, and going into 26, I'm looking for reasons to play. And I guess sort of the goal of the stream is to see if we can make some reasons to play.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to say it. And for me, I think kind of the only reason I've stuck around sort of has been the streams. I have a lot of fun doing those both with Isidafo, but then also with the community. Um,
Yes.
so
Um,
And, I,
you know,
and this is Liam. I think I'm probably in the same place as you guys, as deciding whether to play. Probably coming from a different background. I engaged heavily in 21, but have been, you know, selectively engaging since. And this is the first year I kind of jumped in again. I really appreciate the game, but I've
right.
got kids, divorced, job, and so this is the kind of game that takes a heavy engagement if you're really going to play.
Yeah, and
that's for sure.
I think the combinator design also made a lot of that engagement sort of even more like I mean, not micro in the like micromanagement, but just micro in the large amount of attention and button clicks sense. Heavy.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yes.
that's honestly my hesitation in 26 in large part. I mean, I don't want to make another full tournament team of combies, with yeah, that many button clicks and that much time trying to level them up.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the leveling is one thing. The auction house or card shop or whatever is pretty miserable experience.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's
Um,
funny
yeah.
because from a design point of view, I didn't think combinators were the biggest problem. I still think chemistry is actually the long-term big problem from this cycle. Um, and the combinators are related to, I think, part of the reason things broke. Certainly, I think the rollout could have been better, but I suspect that for the next cycle, whatever they do, they probably will try to avoid calling it combinators because now that's something the community's asked for. But I get the sense that they feel it was successful to have basically special cards at essentially every tier, which stop the meta teams from all being identical. So whether that's, something combinator like, whether that's a larger number of limited editions at each, and I do think there are other ways you can make it successful. So as an example, one of the things, I was just having this discussion with some of the TBD group, and one of the things that I think has been done really well with content in the last few releases, my sense is that the League meta right now, so I have to admit I haven't paid a lot of attention to League. I know, Liam, you've been incredibly successful in League. At least my sense is that currently in the League meta, you actually do have a bunch of viable options at different positions, to the point that, depending on park and other ways you've built your team, you could actually legitimately pick from, different players. Is that right, or is my sense a little bit off there?
I'd say it's limited. I mean, there aren't that many options, and Combinators opens it up a bit. But in terms of cards that play at the highest level, there really aren't that many. Sometimes I just look at the big hats and figure out, what's the best meta card, and I'll just grab that one.
I mean, I think the biggest problem with the League meta right now, I mean, it's helped a little bit by Ortiz and Ruth, is very, very heavily right-handed.
Yeah.
That hasn't been the case all cycles. It's really been the case the last 3 or 4 weeks. But that's sort of where it ended up. So yeah, I mean, I think, like, for the most part, I don't think there've been a lot of issues from a content point of view. Particularly in the second part of the cycle, once sort of everyone got adjusted to the 25 engine. So I don't really have anything to say on that front for 26, particularly.
I'm curious, Charles, more of your thoughts on the chemistry side. I mean, I'm definitely one of the players who's leaned into it the most this year. And I can say that to some degree it helped, but I have no idea how much, because there hasn't been very much transparency on it. It does seem like the combistry piece, where combis chem with each other, is overtuned, and it ends up in tournaments, everybody's all combis, because of that piece of it. Can you tell me more about your thoughts on chemistry? And I know that's a little off topic, but
sure, yeah. So I think the problem is, maybe the best description I had heard of it was something Isidafo said right at the beginning, and we were talking about his experiences with Magic the Gathering, which, I mean, I played like as a little kid. I don't want to say, yeah, something like that. Not really since, but I sort of have an idea of how it works. But one of the things that kind of a strong enough chemistry creates is it basically means that when you release one card, it actually changes, in some cases, pretty significantly the value of others. Right? So that, as an example, early in the cycle, releasing an entire set of cards of, say, Maurer's teammates basically created a kind of build that didn't exist previously, and elevated one or two cards, and the combinator effect is larger than the chemistry effect, and so that's why it was the one that was most noticed. But the problem is it creates a really difficult design problem, because now it means that every time you think about content, you kind of have to understand all of the interactions. And I do actually know a bunch of the group at like Wizards of the Coast and stuff that's involved in that game design. And first off, it's a really hard problem. It's not the sort of thing they just, throw together. It's a really hard problem that involves a lot of planning. And they frequently feel they get it wrong and actually have to essentially withdraw cards from competitive play. So I feel like creating a mechanism like that, you've now just put all of this pressure on the rest of the design team to really carefully figure out how all of these interactions work. And, how do I put it? It's not a design team that has shown as likely to be better than Wizards of the Coast at it.
Well, I don't even know that it's a question of that. I mean, Wizards of the Coast or whatever
Yeah.
game has many developers, and this game has like five. So, you know,
Yeah.
when you have five developers and no playtesters against 50 developers and an army of playtesters, you know.
Sure. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's the
it can
point. Is
come.
you're giving yourself a really hard task, and I think what we've seen every time new features have come out, some of them it's taken a while for the developers to kind of adjust to, and it's taken takes some time for the players too. But of course, as a developer, you have a harder task than the player because you have to anticipate the various things players can do, right?
In a fraction of the total time spent by players trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to figure it all out in advance. It's just
Right.
even Magic the Gathering. You said they can't do it.
They can't.
They make mistakes all the time. I mean, usually they're not like game breaking mistakes, but there are even examples of that where they've released cards that are just completely broken the game, and they had to basically either remove them entirely or cripple the card or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, it's just impossible. It turned out this year it didn't matter because
No, because they had a different thing that ended up overpowering it. But
yeah, and the chemistry from Combinators also overpowered any sort of potential for a chemistry.
almost
build
every potential, but not every. And
yeah, not every single
so
one.
there are a couple of teams that actually found really interesting exploits. One of the Madison, I'm going to be honest, the names kind of run together for me with those teams. But one of those teams basically became a Negro League theme team and kind of accidentally discovered that this was overpowered even currently at the tournament level.
Yeah, it doesn't do a whole lot in League, it seems also, which is sort of interesting. At least in Perfect League. In Diamond, I haven't really looked. But Perfect League, it seems like the League normalization situation just kind of
There's
kills
probably an
Chem
ordering, yeah.
entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how I first engaged with Chem, I was in a league with Max Oysters back when I was stuck in Diamond for like 10 seasons, and I was starting to lean in, but hadn't really leaned in yet. And he had an all Negro League player team, and they shouldn't have been as good as they were, and they won the league. And that's where I saw the power of chemistry. I suspect they've tuned it down in league since, because this was early in the year.
I don't think it's they've tuned it down. I think it's the way the normalization works. That basically all of the numbers are bigger, is my guess. But
yeah, I don't disagree. But I still do engage with it. Every playoff season, I optimize my team for chemistry. Sometimes it doesn't seem to help at all, and sometimes it's hard to quantify, if it's helping or not.
right.
Yeah, I mean that's also one of the big issues with or potential. I guess I mean an issue with potential for problems is that it is very difficult to quantify. But if someone manages to do it, they have a sort of infinite advantage, really.
Yeah.
Right.
My guess and understanding of where this is coming from is you do have other sports oriented perfect team, ultimate team type games like FIFA, and they have a chemistry system. I personally, I've only casually engaged with FIFA Ultimate Team, but it doesn't seem it's that well thought out, right? Like it's just, are they from the same country? Do they play in the same club? But my guess is where some of this is all coming from is, Ultimate Team's a massive game. I think I looked at an estimate for their revenue just from transactions alone, and it's like a billion and billion six or something like that.
Right.
And so this is a business at the end of the day, and that's where that my understanding where combinators are coming from is, look, they're trying to drive revenue, and I imagine I don't know if the chemistry is part of that, but combinators have to be part of it, and I understand that. Coming from a business perspective, like trying to drive revenue. I get it. It just has to work for all of us too.
Well, look, it's not that I have a problem with driving revenue. Um, it's that the best way. Look, so I mean, I actually, I think I've mentioned this on stream before. I did actually run a like massively multiplayer online sports game at one point before kind of going back and becoming an academic. So I've thought about some of these issues, and the general rule of thumb is that the way you grow a company like this, it's much more important to grow the user base than it is to kind of maximize what you get from the current user base. Um, and there was something, that Nico said 2 or 3 years ago when kind of introducing the PTCS stuff, that the goal was to find a way to basically make an esports scene here. And that's what a lot of these things are, right? The reason that FIFA Ultimate Team works so well is that there's this real esports scene, right? And one of the things that happens is, there's a microtransaction level, but it's also the case that at the top level, there's kind of this understanding that there's a competitive scene and basically the best players generally are winning, right? Rather than, in other words, if I were to come in and try to play Ultimate Team as, if I were to come in and try to play Ultimate Team as a newbie, but I were to sink a bunch of money into like buying the best players, I still wouldn't even be remotely competitive in a high-level tournament, right?
I mean, I've never played the FIFA Ultimate Team, so or Madden Ultimate. I really have no idea.
Because I think that's the big thing. So, and I think that's sort of the discussion I wanted to have here too, is, in order to make that kind of scene, what you need to have is you need to have something where there's a competitive scene, and generally the people that are most successful in that competitive scene, are kind of acknowledged as the people that are the best players. And that kind of gives a pathway to be competitive, right? That doesn't have to be the only thing that happens. You also want a bunch of the casual players, and you also want all of these other things that help grow the game. But to make this kind of competitive scene, that's what you need. And so to me, the biggest problem with what happened with the combinators this time around wasn't necessarily the tedium of combinators. It was basically that we sort of learned that the correct way to play this game was to pick essentially one thing and focus on it. I could collect all the iron combinators, or I could collect all the gold combinators, but collecting some iron and some gold combinators was just a losing strategy.
Well,
And, yeah,
it's funny. So that's what I did. I collected a bunch of combinators from all over the place. I think it was a successful strategy if and only if you were basically able to beat misconstructed full combinator teams consistently without them.
that's fair. Yeah. So there's
Um,
some skill gap, but also I
yeah.
think the other thing that helped that strategy partway through the cycle was enough cap players got driven out that it became easier to play caps.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, I don't know that this is so much in the scope, but it ends up being a question also of the reward structure between dailies and weeklies. There's always super slanted towards weeklies, and so you have to optimize for those. And um, when there were enough people who got driven away from the weeklies because they were trying to dominate dailies, then the weeklies got softer, but they were already more lucrative even when they were more difficult.
Right.
So you could sort of snowball off them. It was just, yeah.
Right. No, that makes
I hope
sense.
that's it's
I mean,
always
there's always going to
been
be
the
some
case for weeklies,
Look,
but
there's always going to be an aspect of the most successful players get more resources. That's is part of the game design. But I guess what I felt ended up happening was if say so the first time I tried this, I figured, okay, all right, I guess I have to get combinators, so I'll try playing gold. Well, what ended up happening was there were 4 or 5 teams that were collecting gold combinators, and generally, one of the 4 or 5 of us would end up winning most things. And there are other teams that were making up the numbers. And some of them were highly successful teams outside gold because maybe they were collecting bronze. And so they were highly successful in bronze and not so successful in gold, right? Um, yeah, Vampiric Scroll, I think that's right. So specialization ultimately was needed unless you were going to basically put enough money in the game to kind of go after everything. But even so, the problem is in order to kind of return your investment on combinators, if I were paying everything to get the gold combinators, I really had to only play gold in order to get those points back. And I never
And
made that decision. I decided to play everything anyway, which meant it was always a losing strategy, but it was just what I enjoyed doing.
well, the issue also, I think, became that um, while you got points back, like you made profit by going in on one tier and playing the dailies, it's really slow. Like you have to play all these dailies for a long time to grind out the points
Yeah,
to get enough to get outside of the tier. And if you could hit the weeklies, like the weeklies properly without like full everything, you could really go fast.
right. So
And
that
like this game is always about beating other people to the snowball, and you could just never win the race to the snowball specializing. You could stick in the tier and like the Brilliant and Silver Stars maybe are the best example of from the cycle where they started in silver and they went to bronze, they went to gold, and they sort of slowly built up really strong teams in everything, but they never like it took them so long to get to the next one each time.
right,
Not because they were bad, they did like super great in all those.
yeah,
It's very slow. Um,
right. But like for example,
so
Brydave mentioned that he was sort of all in on silver. But one of the problems is that means yeah, like I think right now my strongest team is iron at this point, okay? So if I play you in iron, I'm going to win almost all the time. If I play you in silver, you're going to win almost all of the time. But what that means is there isn't a format that actually determines who's the better player. And what you need for a competitive scene is you need a set of competitions that basically helps you to figure out who the best players are. Um, and this has always been a problem from a lot of points of view. I think this is one of the things that the developers struggle with too. Is so we've talked about kind of a lack of wanting to listen to advice, but I do think they also struggle to figure out who the good players are and which advice they should be listening to. Because there isn't sort of an obvious way to do that. And if you look at, for example, the PTCS, well, what happens is the 4 or 5 teams at each level were the ones that were competitive for most of the cycle, right? If that sort of
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, we talked about this a little bit at the start of the cycle, which is that um, PT, because the margins in like single games or single tournaments are pretty small. It's honestly it can be very difficult to determine which the best players are, even in a format where you don't have giant differential in card pool.
right,
Um, and you know, if you look at like, for example, let's say we had some no combinator iron, right? The most like accessible thing you could get. And every team played this format every day for the whole cycle. Eventually you would figure out who the best team was, the
yes,
best manager was. But if you look at it for 2 days, you won't. I mean, you'll just, it won't make any sense.
right,
Um, and and especially when you have a situation where not everyone enters every format, and so you're trying to compare across formats, and there's like it's very very difficult. Um, and certainly, the PTCS, PTMS, I think does a pretty good job of giving everyone a chance to make them and be able to sort of be in those like more competitive style formats. Or at least theoretically, they don't always succeed in that, but they don't do a particularly excellent job of like determining who the best player in Iron was in that month. They just sort of pick one of the decent ones in person is it.
I think that's
Um,
fair, but then I think the bigger issue, at least for me, is look, as you probably can tell from the discussions we have, I'm a competitive person, right? If I'm going to play something and put a bunch of time into something like Perfect Team, it's going to be because I enjoy the competitive aspect. Um, so, what would I like to see? I'd like to see a format where I go head to head against all of the other strong players in the game, and anybody feels like if they manage the best in the long run, they can win, and we see what happens. That's the kind of format that I enjoy the most. And what I felt happened here was I was really competing against the same five or so people for most of the cycle. And then if I switch to a different lane, I can compete against the people that are in that lane. But there was never really something where, like, I don't think isidafo and I ever like really found something we went head to head in, even where we both kind of had equal resources and could just like see who had managed to like hit the meta the best. Um,
no.
we had a lot of discussions about kind of which cards we'd prefer. So in previous cycles, what would happen, and you've probably heard on stream, we'd have cards that our models disagreed on. Well, one of the things that would often happen is over the next week or two, we'd go head to head, and one of us would use the card they preferred, and the other would use the card that their model said was best. And we'd kind of get a sense of who was right and who was doing better. But because of the specialization, that never really happened. And if you have a large enough community, you can specialize and you can have, 6 different lanes and you can kind of make that work. But, as we've kind of seen it's not currently a growing player pool, right? And I think the way to grow it then has to be to find a competitive scene where everybody's going to be able to play, right? Yeah, exactly. So Diamond, exactly. You saw the same 5 players, and again, I'm not criticizing either group. I'm not criticizing the 5 people that picked Diamond. You kind of had to pick something. Diamond's as good as anything else. And I'm not criticizing the people who didn't emphasize Diamond and just sort of were there to make up the numbers. I was doing that in Diamond most of the cycle because I wasn't buying Diamond combinators. But the result is if I play you in Diamond, it's not a fair competition. If you play me in Iron, it's not a fair competition. So what we lose is we lose kind of this open competition. And, like thinking about these other things, like for FIFA Ultimate Team or something, if you watch their tournaments, ultimately the tournament players at the high level are being differentiated by their skill, not by which cards they manage to acquire, right? They pretty much can acquire the cards they need. Yeah, so that's a good point. So perfect drafts actually are closer to that, and I think a lot of the formats actually have been lower skill, which is too bad. Some of the formats are great, but actually one of the effects of rapid power creep is you end up having fewer viable cards. The more viable cards you have, the more you kind of have a draft that reflects skill.
Well, the other thing I
Yeah.
think about drafts is, this sample size problem that I was sort of referring to with tournaments is even worse in draft
Okay. So
because you're at the mercy of the draft. The cards you're offered to is not just the like construction skill. So it
right.
takes even longer to figure out who the best team in a draft is than in a constructed format if everyone has all the cards.
Yeah. So with that in mind, what I want to do, this is really what I was hoping to do on the stream. The question I have is, okay, I don't think there are some things that are not likely to change. Okay, it is likely that there's going to be some kind of very limited cards that mean not everyone's going to be able to compete at most levels. That's just part of the game design, which allows them to kind of have a way for people that are spending money on the game to be encouraged to spend it. Okay, they're a company, they're trying to make money. I'm not telling them they shouldn't, right? But that's going to
I,
happen. But that's
I
going to
don't know.
happen, right?
Also, I don't know that it's actually a successful strategy to make money, but that's really a different discussion.
No, again,
Yeah.
if I were running the company, I would do it a little bit differently. But so the question is, let's say we want, what that means is things like the PTCS are going to be nice formats for things, but it's clear that it's not going to be the competitive scene that I was describing. So maybe as a good starting point, let me ask, what are the things that should be true of a real competitive scene where, on the one hand, everyone is encouraged to participate, and on the other hand, it's a format where basically the best player should rise to the top? Like, what are the things that need to be true? Um,
Okay. Generally, you're going to want
and I'm just going to put a few notes here on screen.
let's call it accessibility. Maybe that sort of everyone feels they have
Okay.
the ability to access a competitive team,
Yeah, the
competitive roster.
form. Yeah, yeah. Hold on. That I just broke the screen. Let me try this again. uh, okay, so everyone can assemble competitive roster. Okay, that makes sense, right? Um, that makes sense. And I think also, everybody participate. Strong players want to participate, or at least do participate, right? Um, so what else? Um, like how would you go about identifying kind of the best player?
I mean, I think baseball in general, there's a lot of randomness, right? Even if you have the best team in perfect league, you're going to have a 65% chance of winning a
All
game.
right,
Or
good. Oh, yeah, so something like maybe I should just say a long format or something like
yeah,
that.
larger sample sizes in some
A
way.
large sample size. That's yeah. Okay.
Oysters had an interesting idea in the chat, some kind of
Yeah. So some
duo.
so oh yeah. So that also makes sense. Some kind of rating system, or actually, I like some kind of persistent rating, something like that. Yeah. Um.
I don't know if we fully agree here, and I shared before. I mean, I think the best players do still rise to the top, and it's evident to those that are paying attention, right? Like we talked earlier about do the devs know? I don't know. I couldn't speak to that, but I think most people who are playing Perfect Team can tell. I mean, Charles, you've leaned back this year, but
Yeah.
that the Bay Cats are a fantastic team. That you don't want to meet them in any PTCS or anywhere. And so, and I think there's others, many teams. The Oysters come to mind. They had some very strong months um, that are clearly very strong. But I think versus past years, there's perhaps less purity in that, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, I think what the oysters and I both seemed to do was to decide that what we wanted to try to do this cycle was to qualify for everything. But that comes at the cost of not being able to focus on anything. And the people that were winning PTCSs were generally people that focused on everything, focused on the things that they were winning on. So I
nobody
did,
fun.
I did get a couple PTCSs, I guess, but they were drafts.
The other thing which I mean I think has changed quite a lot in 24 and 23 and really every cycle. So the way that generally the sort of um, uh, success of different managers was like you'd have a bunch of people who did well in weeklies, and then you'd have people who like picked a tier and looked at data really carefully and did a lot of clever stuff to try to optimize their rosters in that sort of small pool of dailies in the tier. Um, and those people did really, really well until the weekly players came in. And then the weekly players tended to, like the really strong weekly players, tended to do about as well as the people who had spent all this time specializing.
Right.
Um, um, when they bothered to enter the formats for the PTCS points, because the dailies weren't lucrative at all prior to 25, because you couldn't win them at any kind of reasonable rate to make them close to weeklies.
Right.
And we that is no longer the case, right? You cannot sort of just go into a format you've never played before and suddenly be good at it, because you have to have all the cards for it already.
Right.
It you know, from that point of view, it does make it, I think, more difficult to identify which the strongest players are, because you can't just, like in 24, you could just, in any tier, these same people who these 25 or whatever people who were winning basically all the weeklies, those were the best players, and if those players went into any tier, they would still be the best players.
Right.
And that is not at all the case at this point.
It takes a long time to accumulate the combinators, and especially meta combinators, to be competitive.
Right.
Yep.
By the way, I think I'd add one more thing to this, which is I think you want high skill formats if you're going to determine this, right? There are some. So to give you an example of a previous year's low skill format. Actually, I think we had a couple of these this year too. I sort of zoned out for half the cycle, but I remember, I think it was 2 cycles ago. Was it the one hit wonders format, whichever cycle that was, where it was an open format, but there were like 300 cards in the pool total, of which about 40 were viable.
I think we had one format last year where there were like 4 total catchers eligible, which was pretty dumb.
But basically, those are formats where it's going to be tougher for skill to shine through, because you're all kind of forced into a similar build.
I think the other thing which I'd say on formats is that it is very, very difficult sometimes, or you really can't tell which is a high skill format, which is not a high skill format, without trying to build it.
Well, to me, that's been the biggest issue with a lot of the design this year, is that the formats are being designed by people that are not playing the game at a competitive level.
Well,
and if you don't try to build it, you won't know whether it's easy or hard to build.
Yeah, and so I actually have an example of this one. So PTCS 11, I think it was wildcard format, was a diamond floor perfect ceiling cap. And it looked like a reasonable, the cap number was like, 7 or 8 or something like that. It looked like a pretty normal format. And then when I sat down to build it, I put in all of the good new perfects, and I had 4 points left. And so the build is just done.
Right.
There's nothing else to do. You can't do anything else. There's no other way to build. So, the format looked okay. At first glance, there was nothing like obviously wrong with it, and then when you sit down to build it, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's hard. It's hard for the devs and those creating the formats to get that right. And I guess you could say they can try to build it and look at what the top cards are.
I guess I actually have no sympathy for that as a game designer. Anything I released to our community, I first put on our test server, and if I had to build a roster, I built a roster on our test server. And you know what? I could even go to some of the top players, and I could just click a couple buttons and say, all right, I wonder how the Newton Sloth's card pool would do here. Let me just grab the card pool from a couple of players that I know are competitive and see what happens if I build a roster as them. Was this easy or hard?
And I hear that, but I mean, amongst the three, I think caps tend to be hard to build for. They can take a lot of skill, but not always, as the guys were just saying. But there's a lot of brain power, I think, in this group and in the game, and it is a challenge, right? Because the player pool is moving every week. The tournaments are around for a month or more, and so I don't know. I think unless we get the community designing tournaments, I think it is a hard ask to.
Then maybe the community should design tournaments.
Well, I mean, I think to that point, I agree. It is not easy to make every format work. Like you said, the card pool changes, and suddenly the way you want to build the thing looks different. The format can go from bad to good, or vice versa. Um, what I think is very important is that some person who is going to be reasonably competitive in a format attempts to build it before it's released. Like,
Right. Well, but
um,
also those things aren't independent, right? The tournament formats should not be surprises to the content creators, and the content should not be a surprise to the tournament format creators.
no, I mean, shouldn't. I that only helps so much, though, right? Because, um, so for example, last cycle, um, we had this Harry Ford card, um, and this Harry Ford card basically spawned a new kind of build in Gold, right? Where you did this one catcher plus Harry Ford plus Kyle Schwarber business, um, and you know that that build would have been very, very easy to miss for someone looking at format. Even if you had all the upcoming formats and cards sitting in front of you, you could easily miss that build. Right? It was not an obvious build at all,
No,
and it
but
was new.
that's okay.
Um,
I mean, it's always the case that players collectively, you know, I'd like to think I did a pretty good job as a game designer. There were always things where players found creative ways to use the content I was putting out that I hadn't anticipated. That's always going to happen. Um, you know but I think that's okay.
so I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it will sometimes mean that you end up with a format or a card that you thought made sense, and then it turns out it doesn't make sense. You know, that doesn't. Some of them. Something like that PT26 didn't fit into that category. It wasn't like there was a new card which did that format. That format was just
Right.
it clearly had not been built in a competitive way before it was released. Because if someone had done that, you would never release it. You would change the cap number to go up a little so that you'd actually have some room to play with the floor instead of just having 4 points and putting in whatever. Um,
Right.
so
Anyway,
that
yeah.
sort of thing, yeah.
So I think I did have one idea for kind of how you could create something like this, but I think the point is, first off, I do think if it's going to happen, it is likely going to have to be community driven. That a bunch of the things that we're describing are things that, whether it's by choice or not by choice, that the developers are unlikely to decide they want to do. And the feature that would have been at the top of my wish list, by the way, as far as being able to make this work, would have been something where we can create custom private tournaments or something like that. I understand that doesn't seem to be a development priority, but obviously that would make something like this a lot easier, because what it would mean is the community could simply decide we're going to create a set of formats, right? But here's what I think could be done. And maybe the question is this actually something the community would want to do? Because ultimately, if we want a competitive scene, if it's going to be community driven, the community has to decide they want it and that they would participate, right? So I think the idea would be we would have, I don't know what the right frequency would be, is maybe something like one tournament a day in different formats that we would designate as, basically competitive for whatever we call this thing, right? The format should move around, so it should involve a variety of things, but also for anyone that wants to be eligible, we should be willing to add restrictions to get the format that we want. So for example, this cycle, rather than just have, the Iron people win the Iron tournament when it goes through and so forth, we would just designate that, okay, if you're playing for ratings points in this tournament, if you're playing for ratings points in this tournament, your combinator limit is 0, even if other people's limit is higher. Yes, that means a few people can farm packs from this, but basically we do something like this, and then every month or so we would take the top players and have some kind of showdown format that they qualify for. And I think the one that works the best is so Liam, did you see the draft thing that we did at the end of last cycle?
I didn't.
Um, I don't know. The video might still be up somewhere. I don't know, but so for people who weren't around in 24, basically what we did was we took 8 players, and we had a draft where you had to take, I think it was what, 2 perfects, 2 high diamonds, 2 low diamonds, and so on. Except that you couldn't pick the same card twice. So like if I pick, Willie Mays, or the 105 Willie Mays, then that was it. I was the only person that the tournament who got 105 Willie Mays. And then the next person could pick any other card they wanted. Maybe they pick Aaron Savali, and they're the only one who gets Aaron Savali, and we go until everyone's got a roster. And we only played one best of 7, so the tournament itself was a bit silly, but the draft was really, really interesting. And to me at least, I think was the highest skill format that PT has had. The one downside with the way we did it was that
It could only be run once. Yeah.
well, only once, but also all 8 players had to own every card. If you were missing any cards that were eligible in the pool, you can't compete, because you're just being locked out of taking one or more of the good cards is just basically kills you.
Right.
So we might not be able to do it up at the perfect level or whatever at the start or something, but and obviously in a 25 environment you would take combinators out because that would just ruin the thing.
Right. Yeah. So I think the general rule of thumb would be if we did something like this, kind of these like roughly monthly, showdowns would have to be. We'd have to do something to restrict the card pool to things that at least most people had available, or were willing to acquire if they drafted.
Yeah, we did a little in that. I think we took out some like the GTCS cards that were brand new, tournament cards that were brand new, or some LEs. I think we took out things like
Right.
that.
But something like that, except with the plan of either running it multiple times or like trying to find some. Yeah, because I think you can do that with any limited player pool. So, for example, you could do that early in the cycle with the live player pool, and it still becomes a skill format because of the no duplication rule.
Much more. I mean, more so than anything else you could do with lives. I mean, lives are always going to be less skill than
Right.
historicals because they all look the same. The shapes are all the same, basically.
Right.
But yeah,
Um,
or just do it. The first one is just irons and bronzes, right? Because those are cheap and everyone can get those.
Sure. Yeah. But now the question is, if we did something like this. So one of the things to keep in mind is if we did a community-driven version of this, it would still be the case that we're doing this. It'll take a slot, right, in order to compete in one of these. We're not going to be able to run this presumably only in Quicks format. So let's say it were the same as this cycle. Basically none of the Quicks is historical right now. Is that right? I don't even remember. But I can pull this up.
To be honest, I have not played a Quick in months. So
no Quick
idea.
is currently historical. So if we
Yeah,
wanted
more.
any kind of more interesting formats, what we would have to do is be designating some dailies, but then that's going to mean that not only are you using a slot, but you're using a slot to basically play in what will hopefully become the strongest tournament that day. So on the one hand, it's the most competitive. On the other hand, you're losing whatever resources you would get from playing in a softer tournament with that slot instead. You know, nobody is going to be strong enough that, you know, this becomes the most profitable thing for them to do, right?
I sure hope not, but that wouldn't. Yeah,
Well,
there's no
well, you know what?
certainly.
If they do, then I think that would make them an incredibly credible contender for clear best player in the game, which is really what we're
Uh,
trying to do is find a way to crown one.
if someone can do that, they should take that and go play something for money instead of PT.
Yeah, so Rob, we could make it an entry fee tournament, but you have the similar problem that the entry fee tournaments have a limited set of formats. So if we were able to get developer help, yeah, so if we could get developer help, this would 100% be a solution. All we have to do is we tell the developers, here's a format, you know, we'll hand you a list of formats that we want you to make. You make these formats, anyone who wants to enter it gets points in the series, and we'll run the rest. I'm assuming for the moment that this is something that we need to be able to run at least initially without developer help and get enough buy-in. And then if we get enough buy-in, you know, often you get more support from that afterwards.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's very unlikely we'd get them to set this up for us. You know, I think I mentioned when we were chatting, you know, Max Oysters set up something during the year where like people could you essentially pick the best managers in the PTCS, and he set it all up. He ran the Excel tracking. It seemed like a lot of work tracking, you know, who of everyone that entered, and it was posted in Maine. He basically set up kind of a survey.
what is this main of which you speak?
Exactly. Yeah, but you know, and he did all the calculations, and at the end of the day, there was a winner. Now, is that a true north of like who's the best picker? No, but it was a fun competition, and
Right.
and I think, you know, to me, there's some purity, yes, of like who's the best. And look, you guys, I know from folks, you guys have some of the best models in the game, and they're different, but they're both incredibly smart. Personally, I don't need to feel like I came out and I'm the best and perfect team. I just want fun competitions that feel fair, and that, you know, I've got a great shot of winning, and I'm going to feel great if I win them. Um, I don't know that I need to feel like I'm number one.
I actually
Um,
really don't want to be number one. I want to get smashed badly enough that it forces me to get better.
Yeah, that would be
That's what I'd
that would
like to.
be
That's what I'd
excellent.
like to have happen. But the
No,
problem
but
is, if the reason I'm getting smashed is because, you know, people have bought cards I can't afford, that doesn't convince me to get better. That convinces me not to bother. I
so
would, but
I
I would
think
like to get smashed by someone that develops a better model than I have and forces me to have to improve.
so at least for me, the reason to do something where you try to get all the strongest players, you know, as much as like yeah, everyone's trying to win, and you know you might call that winner the best player. The reason for me, like the game is just a lot more interesting when you know a format is like you know most open weeklies right now. You know, there's what 5, maybe 10 teams that have a chance, and everyone else just loses like 35-10 in a single game. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's very dumb. Like they're just I don't know who gets enjoyment out of that. Like, is it the people who are getting crushed and getting 5 packs? The people who are winning like by these like I don't. It's just bad for everyone. Um, so you know I think it would be for me at least. It's much more enjoyable when everyone in the format um, is a good team that you think has a real chance to win instead of like 5 of them. Um,
Yeah,
and
and I
so it's
would.
not so
Yeah.
much about like determining conclusively who is the best. I don't really care. It's more about like if you want to get all the players, the strongest players together, you know, um, it seems like this sort of thing would be the way to do it. I guess.
Yeah, I think basically I like, obviously I like winning, but but I don't really enjoy winning if I never thought I had a chance to lose. Winning when I had a strong chance to lose is fun, right? Um, when I play as isidafo, I feel like I've accomplished something when I win because, you know, I know I had to be successful to do it.
Yeah, and I think in some ways, um, um, even like so, I've won some tournaments, weeklies or whatever, where I was missing a bunch of combinators, and to me, it doesn't really feel like an accomplishment. Then it feels like I just got lucky with a worse team. Um, so there's this sort of, at least for me, this it's not just that like I don't want to be better. I don't want to be that much. I want everyone to be kind of the same, because then it really feels like you've accomplished something. And if it's just like my base version of the card happened to roll higher than someone else's commoner version of the card, I mean, I won, but like I didn't do anything to win. I just got lucky. Um,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah.
so let me ask. Yes, I'm just reading chat quickly. Aster, it could be the problem is I think a lot of people just like I don't think I've opened PT24 since 25 came out basically. Um,
No.
so I think there are
I,
enough people that are going to be focused on the current thing that trying to get them to open a different version of the game will be tough. Plus, there are new good players that come in each year. There will be, some strong players in PT26 that don't own 25.
I mean, I
Um,
will say I do think running something like this, um, you know, in PT24, where like PT25 still in swing would make a lot more sense to me than trying to run something in PT25 with PT26, because combinators, like my expectation once PT26 comes out is PT25 will be pretty much exclusively played by people with full combinators everywhere, and no one else will play, and so the format just kind of won't fill except for those people, and so you'd have to like get the entire thing filled up
yeah.
with this group, which seems. I mean, if you can do it, it works, I guess. But if you can't, I think you're just gonna end up with everything not filling.
And by the way, B. I agree. I think that's a good analogy. No, I did think the balance worked better in some previous versions, but ultimately, that's kind of the approach that I want to take here is we don't get to make decisions about game balance. That's up to the game designers. Either they succeed or they fail, right? But whether they succeed or they fail is not something that is in our control. Um, and everyone can have their own view on this. At least speaking for myself, I don't have a lot of confidence in their ability to succeed based on what I've seen in recent cycles. I'd prefer to be wrong because it would be a much more enjoyable game.
I mean,
Um,
I thought the card balance at the end of 24 was really good. Um, like I think the last half of 24 um, was the best the game has been at any point in terms of balance. Certainly well ahead of anything at 25. Um,
I
you know,
actually liked the end of 22 a bit as well. But yeah, I agree.
I don't remember exactly what it's going to, but yeah, I mean, there were other decent moments. 21, I think, was maybe the worst. I'm not sure. Anyway, in any case, like it seemed to me at that point there was actually a good like coming to 25. I thought there was actually a lot of progress being made in the card balance direction, at least. Formats are kind of up and down, and I think they have on the whole probably gotten slightly better over the course of
Right.
25.
No, the card. I mean, well, the card. No, the
But
card content especially has been a lot better. I mean, it still gets an F minus because there's no Tony Suck.
yeah, we still haven't had a second. No, I
Um,
mean, I will say, like, I do think formats have like the average format at this point is better than the average format was at the start of 25, but there's still some real clunkers sometimes. And when those happen to be PTCS or PTMS formats, it's really unfortunate. And it seems like a lot of the types of formats that end up being clunkers are these sort of open cap things, which are and end up being, for whatever reason, very often the big competitive formats, which makes to me little sense. They like from every point we've listed here, they're kind of the worst. The like open cap, open ceiling cap stuff.
Yeah.
Um, what is
So,
it? If there's 6 to 8.
yeah, I think could you. By the way, if Oysters wants to join us on the call too, I mean, we're happy to. This really is a discussion, and we're happy to.
No
Yeah.
combinator. I mean, yes and no, mouse oysters. I think those can be the base, but the problem is those sort of double as the accessibility formats for new players too. And if they're meant to be that, but they get like half taken over by a bunch of sharks, it's not going to be a great situation.
Right. I don't think it's so bad if we're rotating through them and doing it once a week, but I agree.
Yeah, if
But
rotating through them is better.
but also one thing I would really like to see happen. Uh, to me, there's a second big thing that happened this cycle under the radar, uh, which is I really like the historical nature of the game engine. There were no. Was there a single dead ball tournament this year?
There's
No,
been
sorry, there have been things that
Deadpool.
were set in 1919, which is really not a dead ball tournament.
There was that 1914 draft, the bronze one.
Yeah,
To be honest, I forget which of the laptop is 5 or 6. I don't remember
yeah.
whichever. Um, but yeah, I mean, the engine also was a big problem, obviously from the point of view, because even like at this point, if you put an open
Well, I think that's what happened. I think
format
they.
in 1910, it would be crazy still.
I think the 1876 thing we did, in many ways, it was the best format we put together in a while from an accessibility point of view. But what happened was it exposed some things in the game engine that made them really reluctant to come back and do it again.
Well, it was also, that format was weird because the first time it ran, it was really interesting,
And then it got
and
solved.
and then it got solved by like 2 people or 3 people, maybe. I forget exactly. Maybe it was a few more. But anyway, a small number of people, and those people just could not lose. It was impossible to lose. Not because you had more cards, because those people understood what was
Right.
happening, and
But but
and
ac-
the
but
other.
actually, I think that's great. Look, I want formats that identify skill. I would love to have a format where if you figure out the way you're supposed to play it, you can take the same card pool as everybody else and have an overwhelming advantage. And of course, it's not a permanent advantage because then people see that and adjust, but I actually want something that nobody really knows how to play. You have to figure out what you're doing, and then but if you hit it right, you have a big edge.
No, I mean the engine pretty clearly needs a significant rewrite. Um, I hope we get it.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah,
but also, I mean, it was very foreseeable this cycle that this moonball stuff would happen. It was really a question of at how long would it take.
we said this back in March.
Um,
The moment we ran models back in March, we
um,
predicted this was going to happen. Yeah,
so yeah, I mean, the good news is as soon as the open beta starts, we will know whether moonball is going to happen or not within 15 minutes.
The 30-second version of why it's Moonball now. I don't have
sure.
history.
Okay, so basically, in the league, there's some kind of normalization, so
Sure.
that basically whatever the top rating is, it kind of plays like the top rating. Um, in tournament formats, it's more about just letting the ratings scale against each other and see what wins. So that, for example, if you want to know whether the player hits a home run, in league, let's say at the beginning of the year, everybody is rated 75 and everything, right?
Yep.
You get some home run rate with 75s against 75s. If at the end of the year it's 180s against 180s, you end up with basically something that looks similar.
Yep. Same homer.
But if you look at kind of the power curves, I guess in this case I literally mean the power curve for power, but if
Well,
you
bad
look,
too, it turned out, but yeah.
yeah, but basically if you look at the curves for kind of converting ratings to you know to what they mean, what we kind of realized back in March is, wait a minute, if you run 180 against 180, scoring is much, much higher than if you run 75s against 75s. Right?
And
In other words, because it's not linear, right? Doubling your power rating along with doubling your home run prevention rating means you have a lot more home runs.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, this is base game stuff I posted. It doesn't translate exactly to perfect team, but it kind of gives you the general idea of why.
Yeah.
Like you can see basically the home run curve goes nuts, and the PHR curve doesn't move all that much.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, as soon as we saw that and we saw kind of what the ratings were going to look like, we said, well, wait a minute. By halfway through the cycle, this is really going to start to blow up. So yeah, I think we would be able to do something similar when the beta comes out. I mean, this is one of the things that I think is a bit of a misconception the way the game designers have described things too. There's often this idea that if you add complexity or you do something like say, I'm going to create a feature called chemistry and not tell you exactly what it does, that this is going to make it hard for the modelers. What it really does is it gives the modelers a bigger edge, because it means the gap between the people that can get a model to work and the people that are guessing is a lot bigger, because you haven't given the guessers any guideline to get it even approximately right. Anyway, yeah, if that sort of makes sense. So I guess the question is, let's say we were to do something like this and we were to pick formats. Maybe I should just put this up as a poll. I mean, I guess the question is, would you be willing to give up whatever resources, it costs, right? Basically, would you give a slot, to play in a competitive, but tough format, right?
Yeah. I mean, all this obviously, to me at least, is predicated on 26 being kind of a playable game, and for me, playable sort of means that I don't have to do the combinator nonsense any longer, right? This auction house monitoring and food buying and all that. So, I think for these purposes, I think we can let's just assume that that's going to be the case, that like the game's actually playable.
Well, I think the idea here is that if I wanted to do something like this, if I wanted to do something like this, I would have been able to never buy a combinator and still play in this kind of competitive format. I might not have had enough fun in the rest of the game to stick around, but, and yeah, Edwin, I think that's a completely reasonable take. That's why we're asking, because, if you decide that you're going to play in a competitive format like this, it will cost you some resources, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think as the system is now, it's really hard to snowball without combinators in the weeklies, and I think it'd be hard if we're doing opens. It'd be hard for folks who aren't otherwise engaging to keep up with the competition, right? So if we're doing bronzes, it's easy to buy non-combis for 1,000 points at most, and get the meta bronzes.
I think we'd want to have combined different levels, but that we should generally be choosing things that basically that have the properties I've got sort of on the left of the screen here. So one of the, we would generally want to choose things that are high skill formats, but where we think everyone can assemble competitive roster. And so, yeah, opens, unless there's a significant difference in the way card pools work, which is always possible, right? You never know what changes are going to come out. I don't think we had guessed this set of changes, right? But unless there's a significant difference where sort of everybody can assemble a competitive open roster, I would think that we would not want to choose open formats for this.
I mean,
Diamond would have been okay this cycle, but open probably wouldn't.
My general opinion is I would not have any tournaments at all with opens. I would leave opens only for league. I I just don't think the way that tournaments are set up works well with opens, and opens don't need the help for rewards because people will buy them for league anyway. So I would just have, perfects for league, diamonds and below for tournaments, and you know,
I do
um,
think opens are an important thing, but in the opposite direction. So I'm thinking about what are they called this year? The team that was Tito Albas, and then they have a different name this year.
the border collies. I think they are this year.
That might be
I think
right.
that I think it's the same manager.
Okay, but they were an example of a team that was highly successful in league. They were, I assume, putting money into the game to acquire cards because they weren't playing tournaments, but would kind of end up with all of the key meta cards and invest heavily in league. And you'd see them at the end of one cycle. You'd see I think they had won literally zero tournaments, which probably means they entered zero tournaments because with a roster like that, they would have been successful. And by introducing these channels and kind of giving prizes for opens, it did actually get them to play open tournaments and to kind of engage with the community outside the league.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, I don't. It didn't get them to play anything else,
no, but I do think
right?
that
Like
just more yeah I do think that just getting more teams to try tournaments helps.
if I mean, but if the engagement is like you clicking the import roster from league button, like I don't know that that's actually helpful. It's the same kind of thing with like there's a lot always talk about like meta diversity, but I don't think meta diversity just like having a larger total number of cards to play isn't meta diversity in the way that we think of it as a goal. So I think just getting someone who doesn't care about tournaments to press enter league roster so they don't have to spend a few less dollars. Um, I don't know
Yeah,
that is
I understand
helpful.
that, but I think it's at least a way of. I guess the way I look at it is there are a limited number of really dedicated players in the game. I wish it were more, right? Um, I certainly wish it were more, um, but we have a limited number of players. We saw from how quickly Cap Tournament started struggling that the number of dedicated tournament players was dropping pretty quickly this cycle. Um, so I'm happy, at least for me, I'm happy to have open formats in the game. If it's going to do something that lets players that are putting effort into the game engage more, even if it's in a limited tournament format, I just feel like that's probably better than the alternative. Um, but, you know,
Edwin, if I could ask, how did you like what spurred your transition from opens to other formats? Like how did that happen for you? Um, because there is more hard acquisition and stuff that needs to happen there.
Yeah, and while he responds, I mean, I like open tournaments. I think it's a bit of, I mean, if I wasn't able to play my league team anywhere, it would, you know, it wouldn't be as fun for me. And honestly, it's a bit of fan service, and with the game economy, I mean, I'm willing to spend a bit of dollars and buy some points because I feel like I don't want to grind on the auction house or try to make the money otherwise. But without the open tournaments, it'd be harder to snowball personally, and to get points for the cards that I'm buying. Because tournaments is really how I
well,
generate points.
well,
I think
I
I'll
think
probably have
another
to
way to say it is, and this is just generally a problem that's I've never seen a good solution to it. The league setup just isn't very good. Like the league alone is not engaging enough for the level of dedication you need to be a successful player in Perfect Team. So I think that's partly also where you need. I'm not sure how you make the leagues much more engaging, but you know they don't seem to be the centerpiece of the game.
I mean, I always really wanted to win Perfect League, and they've definitely set that up as a goal for folks, right? And the competitive part of me wanted to win it. I'd never won it before this year, and then I saw a chance to, I felt some cards were being undervalued, and to lean in, and I won a few times, and honestly, that felt awesome. And so, I think the league, I'm sure there's other things you could do, but I think they have built a nice goal for people.
The problem, well, if it were a
I
goal,
think
that
the
would make
league regular,
sense.
I think the league regular season is good. I think the league playoffs are really bad. Um, you know, like I think it's most of the time it's going to be the case that like if you make the playoffs in perfect league, a couple times in a row, your team was probably pretty good. Um, but winning in the playoffs in perfect league doesn't take anything but luck.
Right. But that's all. But
Um,
that's the playoffs in real life too.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what do you think is wrong with it if
So actually, I have a different problem,
baseball
which
at the end of the
is,
day?
um, and I think fewer diamond leagues this year helped a bit. So in general, what I liked about Perfect League was the feeling that every game mattered. And for me, like when I play Diamond League, I'm going to make the playoffs. The playoffs are a crapshoot, so the games don't matter except for one day a week. Um, and when I got to Perfect League this cycle, because of the combinator difference, I never had a shot to win Perfect League. So it actually also meant that the games didn't matter. They just didn't matter now in the opposite direction. In fact, I'm going to admit this was my low light of the cycle. Um, I was trying an experiment that I forgot to stop, where I wasn't running any catchers, and I didn't notice that I had promoted to Perfect League. So there's one season you'll find in the data where I spent about 2/3 of the season playing Perfect League with no catchers before someone pointed out to me that that was probably a bad idea. Um,
That does that idea.
yeah,
um,
bad idea. But Liam, I think you were saying something about your question about league.
Yeah, yeah. How would you change it? I mean, I at the end of the day, I want the game to be baseball, right? Like we're all going to try to make our model better, and but I joined it because I like sports and I want it to feel like baseball, and so to some extent, yeah, playoffs are a little random. I wouldn't make it.
I don't have a problem with that aspect.
Yeah,
I think there's a bigger problem with the leagues, and if I actually think if they had given this league structure last year, it might have fixed a lot of the problems I had with league, but they didn't. Um, so basically, I think the point is what you want in a format. Like I'll give you an example. Like Burlington Silver Stars, just as an example. Because I've gotten to know him pretty well over the course of the year. Okay, this is a guy that lives and dies with his tournament teams. You know, he will in some random weekly or probably a silver weekly because that's what he was focusing on. But he'll be in the silver weekly. There's one of these a week, and it's short series, and anything can happen. You know, but he'll be down 3-1 and he'll be like a nervous wreck because he's down 3-1 in a series, right? Um, but what that's telling you is he's having a lot of fun engaging with the thing. Um, you know, and I think the same kind of thing is happening. You want people to live and die with what's happening in the league if it's going to happen. And the way that that works, part of the reason that people follow baseball so closely is the gap between the good and the bad teams is smaller, right? So what combine there weren't enough teams to fill diamond in 24, to fill competitive diamonds in 24. Dividing it in half really helped. And I think if we had the same size gap between teams in 25 as we had in 24, I think diamond leagues might have been a lot more compelling because you would have really had to push, you know, in order to do well. Um, yeah.
I mean, okay, so I think there are two kind of, let's say, low hanging fruit changes. number one is to make Diamond League promotion best regular season and World Series winner instead of the World Series opponents, right? That one just seems like a, you know, pretty easy change to make so that the better players make up. The perfect league in the regular season matters more in Diamond. The second one is just to make the entire playoffs best of 9 instead of these best of 3 nonsense. You know, you still get underdogs can still win, but at least you know you have some more games and there's a little more incentive to improve your team for the playoffs.
See,
Um,
I mean, to me, actually, the problem isn't the playoffs; it's the regular season. So, in perfect league, when the gaps between good and bad teams were 5 to 10 games, I felt the need to micro and everything in the regular season to make it work. Um, the problem is just that when the gaps are big enough, I kind of can put the regular season on autopilot and do things like forget to play catchers, and it doesn't matter. I'm still going to be playing on Sunday, right? Or, like I said, when I made Perfect League this cycle, it would be I'm still not going to be playing on Sunday. Even if I manage to steal 10 games microing, I'm still not playing on Sunday. So therefore, there's no incentive to get excited about it, right? Um, so I think that's really the issue. The issue is in order for any format to be engaging, the games have to matter. Um, I agree the playoffs are random, but it's at least the case that they matter. They clearly matter, right? Like the
yeah,
stakes, there are stakes for those games.
yeah,
But for most players, the stakes were low enough in the regular season that it wouldn't be engaging. Whereas when you play a tournament, every round matters because it's a short series and you can be knocked out, right?
yeah.
Um,
Oh, I actually to Matt Loyer's point. Whenever, at least for me, I'm talking about league, I'm really only talking about Diamond and Perfect because I don't know what's going on below them.
right.
Um, so yeah, lower level leagues. That's more up to like theme team and people like that. What they want to see than really what I want doesn't matter so much there, I guess.
Yeah. All right. The random placement in leagues in a place. Yeah. So random placement in leagues is an interesting question. I understand why they're doing that for competitive reasons, right? Um,
I mean, I think the way I would do it is to perfect league. I would just change it so that you split the previous week's playoff teams 50-50 between the two conferences, and then just randomize it after that. Um, for Diamond League, yeah, you probably want to do something kind of similar, I guess, where you put like the same number of playoff teams from the previous week plus the perfect league demoters, split up evenly
right.
among the
Well,
Diamond
well, well,
leagues.
one of the things that I think is kind
Um,
of weird this cycle is that diamond leagues actually aren't leagues in the way that they look.
yeah, they're half leagues. It's very
Right.
silly.
So although there are half as many diamond leagues, what it really is the same number of diamond leagues that are each half of the size, and then they're sort of paired up to give you a title.
Yeah, except for the some normalization purposes where they do have some impact. But yeah, for the most part, um, you know, anyone. I don't think there's a lot of optimizing for normalization in Diamond League going on. Probably people are just kind of playing whatever.
Right.
Um,
Um, so yeah, I think the point is any solution for league, at least to me, the solution for leagues is much more about competitive balance than anything else. You know, just in the sense that if you want me to pay attention before Sunday, the only way that's going to happen is if I'm in a situation where I think paying attention might change my outcome, right? Or at least there's some danger of getting an unexpected outcome. So if on Monday I know that the difference between diamond leagues in 24, right? Because there just weren't enough strong teams to sort of ever kick you out of the playoffs. If I were in a diamond league, on Monday, I'd know the difference between putting effort and not putting effort would be, do I win 95 to 100 or do I win 105 to 110? And there wasn't a functional difference between those, right? This cycle, I think, if not for combinators, I think there really would have been a functional difference, because between fewer teams in Diamond Leagues and kind of the same kind of card availability, I think it actually would have been the case that the gap between, you know, getting demoted from Diamond League and making the playoffs might be, 5 games. And so you really would feel that if you wanted to be successful in League, you had to put that effort in.
I mean, the thing is, I think that would have been true in 25 um, for like, I guess I would say there are probably something like 25 or so teams in 25 that were really like top of the line level league teams, right? But all 25 of those don't end up in perfect at once because only 6 can make the playoffs.
Right.
So for the 10 or whatever teams which are down in Diamond of that group, there's nothing you can do. Those teams will always just hammer everyone,
Right.
no matter what. But yeah, I mean, certainly, this cycle, it was more difficult to construct a strong league team because a lot more of the strong league cards were packable instead of missions.
Well, it was packables, but also again the combinator thing, right? The sloths.
Well, I mean,
the sloths also had combinator editions of a lot of good cards, and that was part of the success.
But combinator perfects were not an issue in Diamond at all. I mean, there was maybe a handful of those per league, and that was the teams which really belonged perfect anyway and just crushed everyone no matter what.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But what it did do is it, for example, you got to choose a lane, and one of the lanes I could have chosen was League. The reason I didn't is because I looked at the gap between what I could make and what, say, the sloths had, and I basically said, without putting a bunch of cash into the game, I don't think I can bridge that gap.
Well, you also I mean, the thing is that if being tried, only one person can do it in open because the combinators don't come up often enough. Maybe 2 on the odds.
Well, the one thing that's changed over the course of the year is that perfects have grown at a much more rapid rate in terms of rating than Diamond. Where I started engaging with combis in League was all with Diamond combinators, and I picked up some perfect combis here and there, but it was all diamonds. I built out my bullpen with diamonds and started building combistry that way.
Right.
And once I had like 14 or 15, and my first acquisition was like Brett Boone, that second baseman. He could play a platoon second base. I think it's actually better for League when the diamonds are playable. And I was traveling internationally, and I was so hard after Randy Johnson because I knew he'd crush in League, and I finally got him on a buy order, and he played for 7 PEL seasons or something. That I think was actually interesting when you could play the diamonds because they were more common,
right,
and prices weren't crazy. And now it's tougher. Now you have to have perfect combis because the diamonds aren't playable.
right.
So I think there might be something there of like, if the diamonds are playable, maybe it's a little more tenable. But we'll see how it is in 26 with what they're calling variants and what that means. I don't think any of us really know yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was, like this decision to put overalls above 100 had approximately 0 gameplay impact. But it did have, I think, quite a lot of psychological impact, both on card releases and on player choices around those releases. And I think a lot of that was pretty unhealthy. And
I think
it
had one big bit of gameplay impact. It meant that somebody that was not familiar with the card pool could very easily in drafts pick the more recently released perfects.
In drafts, yes, but I think actually that situation ended up causing a lot of issues for Constructed in League, where people would decide that like they need to go chase the 104 instead of the 103, even though they didn't really have the rock to support that, so they just spent all their points and have no way to recoup them ever, and then quit.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. By the way, I'm reading the chat discussion in chat. I don't want to speak for the developers here, but I can tell you that in kind of the games I was running, I would have been reluctant to do that because one of the kind of first rules of chat is if you make it, you have to moderate it.
Yeah, I think a
And
chat.
that would stop me from wanting to have a bunch of independent league chats that then needed to be dealt with.
I mean, I something like maybe automated Discord channels where everyone from the league gets put in or something could work, but because then you could just ban people from it, and you're sort of like it's not that bad. But yeah,
You
in
can
the
ban
game
people.
seems
You can
very
ban people
dangerous.
from Discord channels.
No, PTCS Tremel was fine at one. PTCS Tremel was not. PTCS Tremel is a fill card that's going to get play unless you have all the combinators. So I don't think that card was a problem. I thought the
I
PTCS
think I
rewards
have a
were.
buy order
Yeah,
up for PTCS Trammel actually.
yeah, PTCS Tremel is a very very reasonable.
If anyone wants to sell me one, I'll buy one.
Yeah, Viola sucked. Viola was really
Yeah.
underpowered. That one was not good. But Tremel and K-Line were fine, I thought.
Hey guys, my girlfriend has made dinner, so I need to run. But
Okay, well thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for joining us. Yeah, so I think anything else you wanted to add before?
No, I just appreciate being invited here. Great to be on with you guys, and yeah.
Great,
Yeah,
yeah,
great,
and
great
if
to have
you
you.
and if you are around and were around in 26, let's do this again sometime.
Sounds great. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. Um, okay, so just thinking through this, then it sounds like, and looking at the poll as well, people might do something about once a week. So one possibility would be if we're doing weekly streams, picking a format that's going to run, you know, and then going through it on the weekly stream. So either, do the Friday version of a tournament. Sometimes it could be one that runs on the stream. Sometimes it could be one that, ran earlier and we show the results on the stream, right? Because
I mean, I
they run at
think
different times of
Max
day.
Max Oysters, I think at some point mentioned the idea of something like the lab, tournament lab, except the format changes every week, which I think could work.
If it could,
Um,
so if we could get dev help and we could simply pick a different format every week, that would 100% be a solution to this.
um,
There are a lot of things that could be done with dev help that otherwise would be harder. I have not spoken with Nico in at least a couple of years, so I don't know where they're at.
Not changing what? Yeah,
No, I think you don't
I,
want to run it several times
yeah, I
though, because
don't.
I think the idea is it's the whole like get a large enough sample size to figure out, you know. So I don't think it's. I think you want something that people, would build for. Um,
Yeah, I mean, and like everyone says, there is certainly then a barrier to entry for that format where you have to rebuild it every week, and that's is going to make it more of a a chore to play. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how much really is being contributed if it's like run one format four times and then
well,
you really just
because also
yeah.
you learn how to beat it, and then you don't have to think again.
Well, and you also figured out sort of who happened to have the cards for that run and not really who built it well. Like, there's a lot. I mean, certainly every time a format runs, the skill to build it goes down because you can see what other people did, and you have a much better sense of like, what the opposing card pool is like, and all that sort of thing, and you just have to guess otherwise.
Right.
Um,
But I do think there's a compromise. So if we were given the ability to make a custom format each week, I think what we would be trying to do is as often as possible have it be a duplicate of a current format so that you don't have to rebuild, or at least very similar. So for example, this cycle, what we might have done is to take current formats but put a combinator limit of 0.
sure. I mean, I think even maybe a better way then is to have this be a daily instead of a weekly, so it runs 7 times over the week. And we take, you know, um, the best two results or something like that, and then it rotates every week.
We could do that. The thing is, it really depends how big the player pool is, because
Yeah,
I think the thing that's most important to make this work, I really want a tournament where, however many competitive players there are in the game, I want as many of them as possible to play against each other. And so if you say, you can play any of the 7 this week, but pick your favorite time, what you've done
yeah, I
is
guess that's true.
to sort of spread out the strong players again, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's true. So maybe but yeah, I guess the thing is the weekly is going to have a lot of randomness. But if you make it high enough skill, it's probably okay. Um,
well, there are a few other things that we can do that
yeah,
would help. So, for example, um, whatever they called the format where you had like a 30 game round robin thing that a couple of the drafts had.
yeah, I forget what it was called. Yeah. I know what you're
Um,
talking about.
but something like that also does a better job of separating teams.
Yes, that was actually. I mean, if I,
I would much rather have seen I'd much rather see a format like that for PTCSs as well.
yeah,
There are a few underrated things it did. I mean, one of course is it takes more games to separate teams, which is good. But another thing that it's doing is it's actually equalizing rest for the first round. For sort of the next round as well.
yeah. I mean, I really wish that uh, there was a Swiss option or something like that. Um, because one of the issues with this bracket setup, right? Theoretically, like let's say you played infinite game series, so the best team always won. The bracket front would always conclusively identify which the best team was, but it would not conclusively identify which the second or third or fourth best team was,
Right.
right? Because it depends where you end up relative to the first, or, the teams above you.
But actually, I do think there's a partial solution to that. So, Oysters pointed out, instead of awarding points based on just how far you get, we should have, we could think about whether ELO is the right system. You can always have discussions about rating systems, but you could have
Well,
something where you actually look at the matchups. And so, actually, it could be that in some cases, sort of your rating looks better if you lose in the second round than if you lose in the third round, depending on your opponents.
yeah, I mean, okay, if you're going to use Elo, you use Glicko instead. It's just sort of better, but that's a minor quibble.
That's why I said,
Um,
I'm happy to have, you can have religious wars over rating systems as well, and
well, I mean, well, Glicko is just like Elo, but with uncertainties. It's just kind of objectively better. At
well,
least the idea is
the
objectively better.
bigger issue is
But,
what both of those are doing is they're asserting something about the distribution and what happens sort of for tail
no, no,
end
no, no.
things related to the middle, which just may
Yeah,
not
yeah.
turn out to be true for
Certainly,
baseball. So you'd have to
certainly
find
you
the
can argue that type of system against some other type of system. But I think if it's Elo versus Glicko, it's not much of an argument.
fair.
Like they're the same system, but Glicko's better.
Right. And for what it's worth, if we do something like this, uh, I'm happy to write something that ingests the results and runs the calculations and puts them online and stuff for people. Uh, if someone has a good way to ingest the results, because as kind of I always point out on stream, of all of the people on this stream and in the chat, I may be the only one that doesn't pull data.
I mean, there isn't a way from like a single thing to get who played whom. Obviously, if you have a
Well, there isn't
bracket
from the
thing,
data, but I thought, like, I know Oysters for the thing that he was running seemed to have something
well,
automatable, right?
I think that was just how many rounds you got through, which obviously you could do because just count the number of wins and divide by the number you have to get to win a
Okay.
series. Um,
Um, all right. Sounds like it's a good time to hop off for the night. Possibly for us as well. I mean, so this wasn't intended to be the the 7 hour stream. There are no cards for us to go through. You know what? We should do our traditional TWIP draft probably and lose because that's always fun.
Let's do it.
If there are any other things people want us to discuss, we're happy to. Like if there are any other things from chat that people would like to bring up.
Or if anyone has any perfect combinators they want to sell, because that's the only thing which matters at this point in the cycle.
Oh, I haven't actually. You know what? I haven't built my roster yet either. I could build that on stream if you want. See what I happen to own. Or do the perfect draft for. All right, I have several things that I could do on stream if people want, but let's do a TWIP first.
Let's do a TWIP. The PT I did my draft right. The PT26 is really dumb. It's just a bunch of opens and diamonds. The other one is a bit more interesting. But
all right, well let's do a TWIP. All right, we ready? What is this? Still Comerica. Is it? Oh, it's not in Around the Horn now. It's wasn't it Around the Horn for a while, or am I misremembering?
It was. Yeah. So now it's this silly thing where you can get the round where we've just moved the luck from round 1 to round 2.
Well, there's luck in round 1 if it's only 6 cards. There's a lot of luck in round 1 also.
No, I know, but the thing is that round 2 is just round 1, except you put all the worst cards back in again.
Yeah. All right. Well.
So it didn't help anything. It just moved the luck around. But whatever.
Let's see where we go. If I'm going, yeah, actually, yeah. So Beefo, actually, I have been going to a couple of basketball games. Mizzou. Yeah, I thought the team was going to be awful, but it's actually been really good, and it's a lot of fun to watch because they're kind of this really high pace. They kind of have a fun style.
I have to say, I can only remember one team from them, which was when they lost in the first round to whatever was it, Norfolk State or whatever the 15th seed was.
Yep. Was that a Quinn Snyder team or?
I don't remember.
Although I think my favorite SEC stat that I've seen. So Mizzou went 0-18 last year in league, like in the SEC. And there's a player that started there and transferred to South Carolina, which is now 13-ish. So their entire career, they've been playing almost 2 seasons, and have yet to win an SEC game.
Well, maybe they should go somewhere else.
Well, don't come back here. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because also, I mean, there were a couple transfers, but most of the team is the same team that went 0-18.
I mean, I guess with college basketball, teams can turn over so much from year to year with the transfers and the
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was the weird thing is they didn't just like get a bunch of incoming players. Like 3 of the starters are the same, and but the results are much different.
Yeah, or they got less injured. That also.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I wasn't following it last year because I just moved here. But
anyway.
Oh yeah, right. TWIP draft. All right, here we go. All right. Hopefully, I am streaming this correctly, right?
I can see it at least.
Okay. No, just 'cause, since we haven't been using the game, yeah.
We have a problem.
Well, we don't have any 105s or 104s. I mean, it's Newhouser, I guess, because it isn't anything else. Although this Palmero's new enough that actually it's close. It's still probably got to be new. Well, hold on, wait. It's single elimination still, right?
Yeah.
So single elimination, it probably just is Newhouser, and you hope to get a game out of him.
Yeah, I mean, actually, with 256, the number 1 starter can pitch 3 times. So, because the last series is BO3.
One of the funny things is Newhouser has much lower stamina than a lot of the competitors there, and I'm not quite sure why.
I don't know. It was sort of it's a card that just never the base card was never that good, and really only the Combinator had any use. So I didn't look at it that much, to be honest.
No, I remember actually seeing this fun like anti-Newhauser diatribe that was basically like it was all World War II and et cetera, et
Yeah,
cetera.
I mean, the thing is that like it wasn't he had good seasons, not just 44 and 45, but those were the best by so much. I'm always
Yeah.
hard to evaluate him. All
All right.
right, well, one card is more roll than
Well,
other cards, so let's take that one.
but this one says Master Series.
But that one is more overall.
Well, this one has 172i. Wait, we could just take Saito. I mean, I've heard that's good.
Let's not do that.
All right. Um,
Okay.
was this a low diamond round?
Nope.
Wait, hold
I
on.
mean,
Why do you have pick 1 of 6 cards diamond and then pick 2 of 12 cards diamond?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, this is Hooper, but
It is Hooper, but like, but Alonso looks like he missed this ball by like 2 feet, doesn't he?
he's not wearing a batting helmet, so that's probably a home run derby picture or something.
Hold on. Wait, but it's no, but there are Mets fans in the background.
They also gave him at City Field at some point when he was in the home run derby.
Oh, was he? Was he
I
in
think
one City Field? Maybe that's what it is
yeah,
from then.
that's probably what it's from.
In any event, it's Hooper, but
It's
yeah.
Hooper, yeah. Not that Hooper's very good, but the other cards are good.
Well, okay. So I guess the Klesko is the newest,
No,
right?
Imanaga.
Is
Oh, that's the wrong
Imanaga? No,
Imanaga.
wrong
That's the wrong
Imanaga. So
Imanaga.
Klesko's the
Never mind.
newest. Sizemore is okay in one direction.
I guess it's
Uh,
let's go.
so it must be
I
Klesko
don't know.
Sizemore, right?
Or either Sizemore or Syndergaard.
Wow. I mean we always run into problems with
I
this,
mean, this
right?
is awful. This is
We
really
always
awful.
run into problems, but this is that's a fair point. Rojo, a Hooper was not wearing a helmet either.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. This draft is pretty much sunk already. There's
that's
really no
always the way
saving
it goes.
it.
All right, I'm thinking Klesko Sizemore,
Sure.
and hope that lefties don't exist.
Yeah. Except for the one we drafted.
Yeah, but we drafted him, so that's okay. Okay, well, hold on. Ford Smith is at least recent, right?
Smith is really good. Yeah, Smith is really good.
This is was it TV3's the Baldwin? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, 3.
Yeah, it's the best card though. The other ones are even older.
I mean, the home runs are going to be an issue. This is a right-handed power park, and we're throwing a lefty that gives up a lot of home runs. And yeah, what else are we going to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I did. UConn. It was weird because the last 2 years going into the tournament, they seemed like in the group of the best teams, and they just kind of crushed everyone. So I don't know if it's like how there's bad evaluation or what, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's funny because I kind of liked them for a while, and then just Hurley, I feel like is, and this is saying something, but like the least likable coach I've seen.
well, they were season empirical. They were really good after seeing the tournament, but like going into the tournament, all of the stuff had them like not like much ahead of the other good teams, like kind of similar, and then they clobbered everyone. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say whether like they were really good and those systems were just wrong, or whether their systems were right and they got good luck in the tournaments.
I remember some of the rate
Yeah.
stat stuff liking them though, even when they weren't ranked as highly.
No, like those all the stuff said they were like good, but not that they were like hugely ahead of the other good teams.
No, that's fair.
And then when they played the games, they were hugely ahead of the other good teams in those games.
Well, the other thing is the tournament, especially like matchups matter just a lot. Um, so I think at least 2 years ago they got some matchups that really were just the right matchup for them. Um,
Yeah, I mean it only gets. Anyway, this is Bancroft and Messina.
oh yeah, sorry, I wasn't even looking. But Tony Phillips has a switchblade.
Yeah, let's not take him. That card is terrible.
Actually, Musina might be our second starter now that I think
Yeah,
about it.
Messina. Yeah, Messina's really good.
Well,
All right, Crochet is
okay,
new.
Crochet is new. Oh, by the
Uh,
way, um, I have to ask, the live Crochet. Does anyone understand the ratings in that card? Because I thought the idea is you start from the preseason expectations, and then they basically get replaced by the performance over the course of the year, right?
I think with Crochet, probably, I think he didn't. My guess is he didn't pitch enough innings to get rid of all the preseason projection. Because like the guys who played 2 innings aren't getting evaluated based on those 2 innings, right?
No,
So
but,
my guess is just
how many innings did he throw? Didn't he?
like 130 or something. It was not a lot.
What's more than any of the relievers that where it's entirely being replaced, though?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if it's a
see.
good system, but
No,
my
hold on.
guess is that
146 innings.
no, it's more than I thought. Still, probably what's happening. I'm guessing they have some amount of innings, whether you're a starter or reliever or something. I don't know. The live update is just random.
Yeah.
I've given up trying to understand it. I just buy everything.
We gotta pick a second. Okay, so Oberk fell at least.
I mean, he's terrible, but he plays 2 positions, so we'll take him.
He might be our starting second baseman, right?
Better bronze. There are a lot of better bronzes.
Yeah, but I bet we won't get one.
Well, there
Wow.
we got one. Jeremy Rodriguez is pretty good, at least one way.
Yeah, all right. Probably Ellis. I mean, we don't have a
Probably
catcher. He's got a bit of a
Ellis.
bat.
Noah and Perez are not the disasters, but yeah, probably Ellis.
I mean, we could just hope that he doesn't walk people, I guess.
This card is not that horrible, actually. It really isn't. It looks horrible, but
You know what?
I think
Let's find
should've
out.
gotten more
Let's find out.
like it's not good at this point, but at the time it was released, it was not that bad of a card.
All right, you convinced me. We're gonna run it.
It did kind of want the Combinator.
Yeah, well, the Combinator helps a lot with. Yeah, all right. Well, I guess we do need a catcher, so probably it's Duncan and.
Well, hold on, we got some new cards. We have actual new cards. Fritz Peterson, I honestly don't know if that card is good or not because I don't think I've looked at Silver since the card was released.
It's a bad new card, but it's a bad new card, but I guess it's still a card.
It's still bad. New cards are almost always better if they're bad. And then this Bill Miller.
Well, Miller is also not a great
definitely
tournament card.
bad, but it's new and it has a lot of bad. It's good in
Right.
dead ball.
It is good in dead ball. Well, it's better than okay. McGraw's, I guess, gonna play third, not short, right? Because we have Bancroft at short.
Yeah, Bancroft will play short.
Rodriguez is
Jeremy
probably playing
Rodriguez,
second.
Second.
So Miller would be a DH. Yeah, maybe we just take Miller and assume we'll find. There are legitimately good bronze catchers.
Yeah, there are.
I mean, the
That
way this has been
Pedro
going,
Martinez
the way this has been going, we're not going to find it. But you
Pedro
know,
Martinez is sort of a better. No, that card's actually still kind of playable. Whatever, at least.
wait, this card plays third base.
Yes.
Why does Pedro play third base?
Oh, I actually know this one because this happened in 24 and it got taken off. The Dodgers, I forget which player it was in 1993. They had a player who was one hit away from setting the record of most pinch hits in a season.
Oh, so they let Pedro start at third and.
Yeah. So they put a couple of games, they put pitchers in the lineup for no reason, and then immediately pinch hit for them in the first inning.
I see.
So that's he didn't play an inning, but he was technically listed as the third baseman of the starting lineup.
So what's his rating here? I wonder. Okay. Oh, that reminds me. This Babe Ruth. I don't know what your thoughts were on kind of the pitching, but couldn't we have given him a knuckleball?
I mean, I don't know anything about Ruth's pitch mix. I mean, it's sort of funny, because the pitching is useful not in the usual way of a two-way player because there aren't any open caps that exist, but because you can actually run enough pitchers and opens.
Right.
If you play him and Diego, you can actually run like 14 or even 15 pitchers, which is kind of the amount you want.
Yeah,
So,
okay, yeah. There's video on MLB.com from the archive of Ruth teaching kids how to throw a knuckleball.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know there's this book, I think it's called Nair James Guide to Pitching, something
Yep.
like that, which has a bunch of information about
Oh, I should probably click
um,
this. Yeah.
the old pitchers and which pitchers they threw. So that's where I would look. I don't have that book, but that's the place to look. I think. All right, these cards are awful.
Okay, Charlie
These cards
Wilson's not a release card, at least.
Neither is McIntyre, but he's really not great.
Oh, was
Uh,
he? Oh, wow. Episode 13. Okay, that I don't even remember the card at all.
yeah, it was released pretty much exclusively for this dead ball bronze thing, where he's sort of okay because he hits. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Vidal Brujan's actually pretty decent. He plays every position and plays good defense, so maybe we just take him.
He doesn't hit. This isn't
But he plays,
hitting.
but he plays every position and is pretty good at them for a
So did,
live.
so does the 40 Shane Halter.
No, he plays worse defense than that.
Let's go McIntyre, I guess.
The Brandon White is also a half decent live pitcher, but
Yeah. Well, it has green. It clearly makes him better. All right. You know what? Fine. We'll go with the Tiger. It's in Comerica. Okay. Well, Mauer actually.
All right,
Oh,
well,
hold on.
that's
Actually, I have to
great.
take both of our catchers.
Yeah, I think
So
both the catchers.
that's. I mean, is that gal? All right. This actually, we got some cards. It took.
Yeah, Tomlin is pretty reasonable also. But we got to take the catches, right?
You
We
have
have
to
no
take. The,
catches. And that's a perfect catcher platoon in bronze.
yeah.
So couldn't really ask for more than that.
Well, Mike Morgan was at least not released. Oh yeah, this was one of the sets
Smoke
that
is
made the
no.
least sense, right?
Yeah, that was.
Oh, did
That
we
was
get
really
Smoke?
dumb.
Oh, we did get Smoke.
Smoke
Oh
is
yeah.
new. I mean, he's not that amazing, but he's new. So
Actually, we don't have a first baseman yet. So
let's take him.
yeah.
He doesn't
Yeah, no, the
play
food
all
for
the
thought
bronze.
thing just really didn't make sense because that's not how combinators work.
Yeah. All right. Oh, this Charlie Eden, by the way, is another funny one with pitching ratings but no ability to pitch because he has no pitches.
Oh,
in
like
his
the Davy
stamina.
Force.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's what? It's Ricky. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Tartak is kind of okay.
Meyer has some
Wasn't watching
ratings.
this.
Chartak, sure. Um, I don't even think we need a 13th pitcher because it's single elimination. And let's be
I just
honest,
think
I don't think we need a third starter on this team.
Yeah, Newhouser might win one game, but that's going to be about it. I don't know.
None
I
of
don't know any of
these
these cards.
is none of these is playable.
I don't think it makes any difference.
Wait,
They're all terrible.
we got 4 different 40s in the Iron Round. That's impressive.
Let's take Harry Islands. That why not? Our old favorite.
Well,
The worst.
that or this
The worst
John
card
Miller
of-
or the John Miller?
No, but Harry Eisenstadt in 24 was like the meme card the whole cycle.
All right, sure. Well, let's go Eisenstadt and then.
I know. I would just take the live because he probably plays every position.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, our TWIP draft luck has not changed.
No.
Uh,
We got one good round, the Mauer Kreider round.
we had
That was
we had a
it,
good
right?
bronze round.
Oh no, I guess the Messina Bancroft round was fine. That round was reasonable.
Hey, and it figured out that Mauer should only play versus righties. That although it wants to play Kreuter half the time versus righties. No, thank you.
It's also DHing Fort Smith, but whatever.
It is DHing Ford Smith. Why is it DHing Ford Smith?
No, I couldn't tell you. Actually, that one I can tell you. It's because it treats it somehow uses their pitching ratings to evaluate whether they should be batting or not, which is so dumb. But yeah,
Well, because if you know how to pitch, you must know how to hit pitching.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. The AI manager could use some help. AI manager's a little confused.
All right. Are there any other? Let's see. I mean, anything other thing we should do on stream? I mean, I'm
Group
happy
draft
to build a
failed
PTWC,
successfully.
but I don't have a ton of cards. I don't. If people want, I'm happy to build it.
I mean, the open one is just open, so you just put in the open roster that you already have for the weekly. So that one is a
it's just modern
non-build.
open, right?
It's just modern open. There's nothing
Okay.
else. It's just modern open.
But I can build. Is that the one tomorrow or the day after?
I think the open one is Sunday and the diamond one is tomorrow. I
Okay,
think
so I could build the diamond one if people want.
diamond one is also fairly dumb because it's
Was it modern 1750 cap?
yeah.
Okay, well if there's interest, I'm happy to build the diamond one on stream. Um, or we could do a PTWC draft.
I mean, the one tomorrow is terrible. It's just a bunch of perfects and some diamonds. The one on Sunday is like okay-ish. It's some golds mostly, and
Well, we have used up our bad draft luck, so that's you know what? Let's do this actually. Hold on. Since we haven't done one in a while, should we do an imperfect draft?
we can get people. I'm willing to do one.
Sure. Here, let's do a quick poll. Uh, let's put a poll up. All right, we'll put a poll up for 5 minutes. We'll do another draft, and then we'll come back, and if we get enough yeses, we'll do one.
Alrighty,
Sound good?
looks good to me.
All right, which PT? I'll just do number one because it's number one, I guess.
If that one's the dumb one, but well, whatever. You have to do both eventually. So.
Yeah, okay, so
It'll be quick. It'll be quick. You just take the
we're
ones
at City
that go.
Field. I still giggle a little bit inside every time I look at Citibank, just from my time in Japan. Because so like the first day, the first day I was like there, they had like all the foreigners set up stuff, with the university. And instead, representatives from a couple of banks, and one of them was Citibank, which had a thing in Japan. And so everyone was doing, their sales pitch and stuff. But the syllable C just doesn't exist in the Japanese language. It's like sh or she or something like that. So, so what it meant was the person kept explaining to us like why we should use their bank, and they're like, well, the most important reason that you should use Shitty Bank is that we speak perfect English.
Yeah. Yeah. Close.
Yeah. So, oh hey Stratico. All right. Anyway, let's do this while we figure out if we have enough people for an imperfect draft. Why not?
All right. Well, I see one card with 105 on it. So two cards with 105 on it.
Let's take the two cards with 100. There are two cards with 105 on it. And Babe Ruth really is like 204 is good. So I don't have Ruth quite as good as, at least in tournaments, as a hitter. But obviously, two-way,
I think I have him as the best hitter in league by a little bit, for non-commoners, but like it's not.
Well, league, because the normalization, he sort of has two ratings that both can be highest, so that can be a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, well, not much to talk about. These cards have more rating points than the other cards, so let's take them.
I think that's a good plan. Okay, well, we've got a PTMS 104 that has a lot of ratings points. Are these all perfect? They're not. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, hold on.
No,
not all.
perfect.
Okay, so hold on.
It's
So let's.
a lot of perfect.
Okay, so the question is: so Moro, for what it's worth, as a tournament card, I think I actually have Moro as the top reliever.
I definitely don't have that. I wouldn't take him even if I did.
Just especially with this home run suppression, but of course, it would be a tournament. It would be a reliever in the second round, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Alternatively, the best alternative is probably Mathewson, right? And it's not.
I mean,
well,
he's terrible, but
Kent is
even worse. It probably is Mathewson. Yeah. It can sort of Mathewson by default. The reliever.
Well, the question is, does that mean it's supposed to be Morrow? Like, do you actually just take the good card? So let's
No,
just
I don't
think
think so.
how far we're going to get down before we have a reliever here.
There are some real diamond relievers, like the Ellie Rob Dibble, the Jason Adam. There's some
They're
good,
real diamond relievers.
competition.
But the question is, what I'm thinking about is what's the gap between, you know, let's say Mathewson. What's the gap between? Because the gap between Mathewson and a good diamond starter is actually fairly small.
The thing is, I don't think it matters. I think this format is mostly about convincing your AI manager to leave the starter in as long as possible.
Right. But that's also the reason that having a reliever that won't get blown up is good.
I mean, he's going to get blown up a lot. I mean, okay. I also don't think Moral's all that great. If this were like Kimbrel, maybe.
180 is good both ways.
Yeah, it doesn't scale though. Is the problem.
Yeah.
He's not going to do much. He doesn't do much stuff. I don't know. I would take Mathewson here and be sad. But I mean,
Yeah. So what's the gap between Mathewson and what we get?
Stilling is
here?
probably the best. It's still pretty big.
Right. And I guess Semyon is more of a second baseman than shortstop, probably. I'm just thinking because that's the other consideration. Because Barnes
Barnes is terrible.
at least he play.
So far behind.
Yeah. Probably is Mathewson, isn't it?
I think it's just Mathewson. I mean, it's not good, but like, you know, you got one card, so you got to take a second one.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Okay. Well,
Well, that's the end of this draft.
Carruthers, notice
Yeah.
at this point that Carruthers is actually worse than Diamonds
No,
both
Carruthers
ways.
is worse than Diamonds.
He's worse,
Carruthers
he's
is
worse both
horrendous.
ways now. Yeah, that was the point I was going to make. Okay, so
Probably Willie Adames or Baker.
that's what I was deciding.
Probably Willie Adames. I think there are more third basemen than shortstops that are good.
Yeah, and we do want Semyon at second. Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, there's not much to say for this.
Well, we got another interesting reliever option.
So, okay, Walter Johnson is always getting picked, right?
Yeah, and the question is Dick Allen? It's a
Allen's good
it's a
enough.
horrible 103. If I knew I was going to get Boudreaux, but that doesn't work.
Boudreaux's not that much better than Adames, really.
No, but we just might have gone the other direction.
Yeah, might have gone to Baker, yeah. And Allen can play third. Allen, his third base is not like.
No, so there's another thing I really don't like about him in a draft, which is, in something constructed, there will be people that just run lefties and try to do something, different, right? But in a draft, you don't get to do that, and drafts tend to be very right-handed.
There are left-handed pitchers at the top. I mean, there's the Randy Johnson, there's Burkeen.
They exist, but the point
Shaw,
is
Rich
there
Hill.
are enough fewer of them. People don't get to really consciously be left-handed.
No, you know what you get. You don't get to pick. Yeah. I mean, I think it's
So-
pretty close. Probably Wagner.
I think it's Wagner. Well,
Yeah,
actually,
I would. I think it's reasonably close. I don't think there's a clear answer here.
yeah. I mean, I got bad memories of him as a Sox fan, but
No, it's a really good card.
all right.
All right. Well, there's one of the aforementioned good lefty starters. So let's take him.
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting cursed. No, I was grumbling about what to do.
Well, it's the same thing again. It's the good reliever, or
Okay,
just, like,
so
it's either Jansen or Kevin Mitchell.
probably it's Mitchell. I was just thinking about positional.
Yeah, he plays
We have
DH.
three outfielders, but then Ruth is going to pitch.
And
as
Musial
well.
can play first.
Yeah, so it's probably you take the extra bat because we already have the reliever then.
Yeah.
I mean, the nice
Yeah, he's
thing is
really
with
good, but
Ruth, we do have, if we could grab like a Diego or something randomly, like,
that would help. Yeah.
okay,
Okay, so
well,
Jim's
let's take the
gunning,
105 because it has a 105 on it.
and then probably Zobrist.
So the funny thing is, if we did this right now, Zobrist is playing first.
Third, right?
Oh, does this Mitchell not play third? This Mitchell does
No.
not play third.
And Mitchell's at DH. So it's Cruz in center, Cruz Musial, Cruz in outfield. Zobrist at first.
Probably a Zobrist
It's third.
then. Yeah.
I mean,
probably.
the other option is GCA, but
Right. Well, because
yeah,
McGriff's
he's a right
bat just
pitcher.
is far enough behind Zobrist
No,
that
McGriff is terrible.
there's
Yeah.
always Zobrist.
It's either Zobrist or Alexander, but Alexander we don't really need a fifth starter because we have Root.
Yeah, I
right?
think we have 5
So,
starters that are. Well, we have 4 starters clearly better
Let's
than
do it.
Alexander, and then he'd replace Mathewson.
oh right, yeah.
But that's a really
he's not
bad
that much
allocation
better.
of resources, isn't it?
He's not that. No, he's a good deal better. Yeah, it's still bad.
No,
He's
but
still
yeah,
bad.
so I think it's got to be Zobrist then.
Especially if Ruth is going to pitch, Zobrist flexibility matchup.
Okay, so it's got to be Zobrist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sweeney's two-way, but not in a meaningful.
No, it's Sweeney's terrible.
All right. Well, this is salvageable if we get the right diamonds.
Okay, we got the wrong Daryl Evans,
Wrong Ortiz.
wrong Ortiz.
We have the right Bobby Dorr, unfortunately. Wrong Peterson.
This round is awful.
Okay,
So let's just
Rod
take
Beck is.
terrible, but we have to take him.
Well, it was probably the. Yeah.
And then
Probably, I'm guessing Hunter.
Hunter's really bad. He has
Well,
like 10 home run.
You run. Okay, we can run Will Clark one way at first, is another option.
It's an awful round. I might even just take Perez and just backup catcher. But I mean, Perez is terrible too.
Yeah.
The round is awful.
Probably it's Clark.
Ortiz is definitely worse than Clark. I don't know Clark versus Bottomley because neither one ever played. So
It's got to be Clark over Bottomley, right? Here's the comparison.
yeah,
Bottomley has a little more power, a little more gap. A lot worse versus lefties, though. Oh, but Bottomley can bunt for hit.
we went back to PT24 league. We might care, but not so much. All right, let's say Clark.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, exactly. Wagner probably is the best option, right? Yeah. All right, it's probably Clark. Well, okay. Well, Lockwood's at least an expensive card.
Oh, it's Soria because of the dumb mission.
All right. Let's see.
Soria.
Wrong Ricky.
It's
Probably is
two relievers.
reliever, right?
Yeah,
Is it Lockwood, Soria, or
than
unless
the other two? Probably Soria Lockwood.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the call is a lot better in early era, but
Plus, you get a little chemistry from all the tournament editions.
there you go. Gonna matter a lot.
Um,
All right, Cedeno's a nice platoon outfielder.
True.
We got
And as the
wrong
baseball project
reliever.
says, he may have killed.
We got the wrong Jared Weaver. Isringhausen is new but awful.
Wrong Mays. Okay, Williamson's at least newer but awful.
No, Isringhausen is better than Williamson.
Riho is gonna get
Highest.
lit up.
Whom Isringhausen is better. I mean, Isringhausen doesn't play at all, but he's new, so.
Yeah, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, why not?
When in doubt, take the newest card.
I thought it was when in doubt, take the highest overall. Clearly.
Oh, sorry, the same thing.
Oh, another
unfortunately.
interesting thing to consider is how many pictures we want here.
As many as we can possibly fit in.
Well, so we've got Ruth already. The question is, are we looking at 13 hitters, 14 pitchers, or are we looking at a 14th hitter?
Oh, I want 13 pitchers plus Ruth, I think.
I think so. All right.
So this looks like Chipper Jones and Michael Kopech.
Oh, it's Kopech for sure. This Chipper's awful at this point.
He's
in the
awful,
cycle.
but like, what else is it? I mean, everything else is worse.
Make a good point here. Okay, we do have no catchers and we only have 5 left, but
That's okay.
if we took Elston Howard, we would still have no catchers and have 5 left.
Yeah, I'd rather have no catcher than Elston Howard.
Okay, and is Chipper flexible enough? Because if we're running 13 hitters.
Yeah, because we have Zobrist, right? So Zobrist is
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. We got to take at least one of the catchers minimum here. It might just be both. So this is the wrong Nettles.
Good. Wrong Nettles.
Yogi was meta for a little while one way.
Warner is the best card.
Yeah, but we already have 5 outfielders and we're only going to run 13. So
5 outfielders and Zobrist. So it's
yeah.
So yeah, we just take the catchers probably. I mean, they're not good, but what are we gonna do?
Well, so we'd have 2 more rounds that are an identical pool to this. So we'd basically have 2 more diamond historical catchers to be offered, right? Yeah, we got 3 this round.
The other option is so Matt Thornton is the only other real card, I guess. So it's
a tiered in addition to so it's probably just catcher.
Probably the catchers.
I mean, Bennett technically plays outfield, but that doesn't help us at all.
No.
What we actually need is a right-handed hitting first baseman who can also play like 5 positions.
No, it was Zobrist. Zobrist will cover it. Actually, Cruz plays first. And Musial plays first. So
all right. Well, looking at the other 2 catchers we got, I don't entirely regret it.
Yeah, Martin is probably a little better, but
I think
all right, Paul
want Howie.
Paul and Betances. I mean, that other card is terrible. Not that those cards are good. Kate Smith. I didn't see Kate Smith. Hold on. I didn't see Kate Smith.
Yeah, I just want to check which hold on. Is this the new gamble? Oh, but we have no place to put him. Because at least a newer card.
Yeah, the new gamble is actually good. I didn't see that card either.
It's a good card, but
we don't have a spot.
Yeah, so just looking at what we've got right now. Just looking by positions. Yeah, we really need an infielder.
Yep. I think we just wait last round and hope we get someone who can play the third or first. And is actually
well, the last round we're going to get a first, a second, a third, a short, a left. Yeah, so they're 12. They're 12 in the last round. Yeah, so we'll have some options. And then it's got to be Cade Smith, presumably.
Yeah, I just didn't see him first. Yep, Smith and Paul.
All right, come on, multi-position infielder. Okay, well, so Josh Johnson is still plausibly meta.
No. Shocker's better. Shocker's better.
Oh, I didn't see Shocker.
Yeah. And then it's actually our options are DeCinces or JD Martinez. Then for the other card.
It's close, by the way, because Johnson has all that home run suppression.
No, it's not that close. I don't think. Shocker's quite good.
I'm looking. I mean, well, the BABIP's a big difference.
I thought I liked
BABIP more. I thought I liked BABIP more than you do.
No, the home run scaling just sucks. Is the problem? Like home run scaling is like non-existent.
That's true.
It's so bad.
So DeCinces is the best
JD
card,
Martinez,
right?
JD Martinez is good, but he's really awkward. Like JD Martinez is a meta hitter in Diamond, but we have no way to work him in. We have no way to put him.
So I think DeCinces fine though, because Zobrist can play third one way.
Yeah, Zobrist plays for third and first, and Clark.
Now Zobrist is also our backup second baseman, I guess.
Yes. Cruz might play second.
Oh wait, Cruz plays third randomly, right?
Cruz plays first too.
Cruz plays second, technically. Oh, that would be a disaster.
No, I think it's fine. Zobrist just to play every position.
Yeah, all right.
Actually, wait, I didn't see Mason Miller. We might be supposed to take Mason Miller over Shocker. Mason Miller is still really good.
Oh, he has 42 stamina, which actually is better than the 104 stamina Shocker has. Right? Like, as a pen conversion, I mean.
Mason Miller is just really good card.
Yeah, I think let's go Mason Miller. All right. I think we got through it. Let's see how bad this is.
I mean, it's better than the other one. Very good. All right, so the order of the pitchers.
It thinks that Ruth, Johnson, and Mathewson should all DH when they're pitching.
Well, one of those I agree with.
I'm gonna disagree with. Yeah, I'm gonna slightly disagree with that.
Our pitching orders should be Bunning, Kershaw, Johnson, Ruth, Mathewson, right?
I might want to stack the two. I guess it doesn't matter to stack the two lefties as a draft, right?
No, that makes a difference. No, I don't think it matters at all.
So, yeah, probably it's about right. Okay, Wagner's the closer for sure. Miller, Smith. Throw everyone else in the middle relief pile to just hope they don't run out of.
Yeah, just try not to run out of this.
Don't mean specialist. All right. And now, how bad are the lineups it gives us? Let's see. Okay, so the platoon's fine at first.
Platoon's probably good at catcher.
Right. So VL, I assume it's DeCincy at third, Zobrist at first. We want Cedeno in the lineup somewhere here for sure. Right?
Well,
we
don't have a spot for him.
No, there's nowhere to put him.
We should probably put either Cruz or Musial or backup first baseman instead of Clark, so we get Cedeno in more.
So probably Cruz.
Yeah.
Or even both, yeah.
Otherwise,
that's not awful.
I guess Chipper Jones should come out of backup DH. That seems bad.
Who is our... It's probably Cedeno, actually, again.
Yeah.
All right. It's not the worst draft we've done on stream.
No, this one is probably average-ish, I would guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the perfects were okay. The diamonds were kind of bad, but the diamonds don't matter that much.
All right. And it looked like we did not have enough people that want to do an imperfect draft, unfortunately. But I'll ask one more time if more people in chat say they want to do one, we can do one. Oh yeah, so yeah, hey, good to hear from you. So I guess we were talking about whether you could make a competitive format out of something. So, wait, what is this? I've got a feature on Twitch which says I can knock to join a stream, but it's to join this stream.
Why would you... What? I don't know what that means. Why would you want to join your own stream? Aren't you sort of by default joining your own stream?
I'm confused. Should I click the button and see what happens?
Why not?
I'm clicking the button. Something went wrong. Please try again. Do other people see the knock button or just me?
Knock? I do not see anything which says knock anywhere.
Okay, so... Huh. Oh, only the broadcaster. Wait, but if only the broadcaster sees it and you can't knock to your own stream, then what's the point?
That is an excellent question.
I'm sure there's an interesting feature here that I'm failing to understand, but I am honestly failing to understand. Okay, all right, Googling it quickly. I guess the idea is somebody else who is also streaming right now would be able to knock on my stream and ask, can they come co-stream with me? But
But
of course, I can't do it
what does that
because
entail exactly? If the two people are streaming different things, how do they? Oh, I see. It's the people who like playing a game together. Okay, and you can have one chat for two people. Fine,
okay,
makes sense.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. And then just they didn't kind of take it out for like for your own stream.
I guess. Yes.
But we could go knock on somebody else's stream if someone else is streaming. All right. So, all right, we can do one last draft. I mean, I said I don't mind creating a diamond roster if people want it for tomorrow, but I don't have most of the cards. I probably have some, right? Because some of them are just tournament cards.
It's all combinators.
I don't think I have any diamond combinators.
Yeah,
Is
then you
that
have
is
no
that bad?
chance. You have no chance.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't either, so I don't have a chance. But well, I should say I don't have zero, but I don't have enough. I have more than zero. I have
I
like
think I have
five.
one or two, but they're not meta. They're just like the things I pulled that were unsellable.
No, I have a couple meta ones that are not all the way leveled because I didn't bother. But it doesn't matter. I don't have. I mean, I need like 15 of them, or not 15, like 10 of them, and I don't have 10, so it makes no difference.
But you could win an all perfect pack.
Yeah, I could win all. I could win all four events and win 10 all perfect packs, and it would make no meaningful difference. So I don't
Yeah.
know what these rewards are, but whatever.
Um. Okay. Why don't yeah, let's do one last draft and then we'll call it then if that sounds like a
Sounds
plan.
good.
Unless I'll ask if anyone in chat wants us to build, we can build. Um, but as you point out, it's generally put your combinators on and see what you get,
Yep,
right?
yep, that's it. And
I guess we could ask if there's some weird thing we could theory craft that would like
no,
bridge a 30 or 40 win gap.
no,
I have the iron combinators, so I have,
it it, it really doesn't matter. If you don't have like Irvin and McPhee and whatever, there's just no hope.
I have the base version of Irvin and McPhee.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
That's like only 3 wins behind each of them.
Yeah, and Tulowitzki and Robbie Ray.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do a draft. Oh yeah, I forgot to check
All
the
right.
rules. What are the rules? High
It's like
gold
gold
to low
gold to
iron.
iron.
2 out of 12 each round, and it's still modern.
Yep.
Well, Buzz has
No.
some points.
Yeah, it's Arlett and Judy Johnson probably.
Okay, I mean it's definitely got
Or
to be
Matt
Judy
Shaw.
Johnson.
I mean, it's 2 out of 3 of Arlett, Johnson, and Shaw. Motivation to play this game right now because I have been doing. I mean, I'm Sunday is my last day of the cycle because there's nothing to do beyond that. I have infinite points, and the only thing that makes a difference is perfect combinators, which I don't want to go chasing. So that's going to be it.
I think we weren't as much playing as talking about the kind of
Yeah,
what we could set up, whether we could set up something competitive for 26 was kind of most of what the stream was about. But
These PTWC things, people have been qualified for. It's been a month in, so it's
no, I don't care
just,
so much about it in that I'm not going to win it and the rewards don't help me, but I would feel bad turning in a blank roster.
No, I mean, okay, the diamond I can't win. The open I can win. I'm not like the most likely to win, but it's possible. But yeah, just not going to do blank rosters because that's just
Yeah.
silly.
What do you
But
think?
yeah,
Arlett or Shaw is an interesting decision. If Shaw had a little bit of defense, it would be Shaw. It's probably Arlett then, who
Yeah.
also doesn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
much defense. But
Let's play first. It's fine. I mean, if this
Yeah,
was like an all gold draft, you'd have to think about Estrada too. But
I sort of
I
hate
don't think
using I sort of hate using up a first base slot here. It's never one of the pitchers I get. Well, so is it ever Gwynn?
no, Quinn's not that good, especially against a bunch of low tier guys who just want homers.
Yeah. All right, it's
Yeah,
probably
opens are super
Buzz.
random. Opens are super random. It's just opens just come down to how long. Yeah, if your A manager leaves you started in the game longer than your opponent's A manager, which is uncontrollable.
All right. Well, we've got a new LeMahieu, so that's
Sure, it's not great, but let's take it.
it's new.
It's new.
This is the Brett picture. They couldn't have had him like charging out of the dugout after somebody.
Yeah, and this card is terrible. Also,
Well, what's less terrible? I mean, Hickman has a bat, but
yeah, Hickman might be better. Hickman's probably better. That seems okay. Dotel is new-ish, but he's a reliever. Hickman's definitely better than Brett. Steinfeld was good when he was released, but he's old.
so just looking at kind of the leveling of this. So like 5+9 gets us to low silver. So if we take a reliever, we're replacing it with low silver. The question is Dotel good enough, to just do that, or do you grab Hickman?
I just think Hickman.
Yeah, probably.
The general summary, Cheeky, I think, was that we feel like if there's going to be a lot of competitive, like interesting competitive stuff in 26, the community is going to need to do it on their own. And so we're trying to think of ways to do that.
Yeah, and I think we had a couple of ideas. So we're thinking about kind of putting together something where we would designate one format a week and ask everybody to jump into it competitively, and then run some kind of series, and maybe then do a draft for the top 8 or so for the month or something like that.
Yeah. But we obviously have to see what exactly is to come in 26. We have pretty much no information on features at this point or anything like that.
This, by the way, is an Ugler round, isn't it?
No, Padgett's good. Padgett's new and actually
I didn't
very
see
strong.
I didn't see Paget. When did this card come out? I think I've completely missed this card.
Like 3 weeks ago. It's really good.
See, that was probably, I sort of accidentally spent like 2 weeks entering drafts and forgetting to fill them out, and then I realized with about a week to go I had no PTCS points this time around.
Yeah. Good to have players in your draft.
Well, I had nothing for any of the formats, so I qualified for a few just because that was the time I had. But so Youngblood is maybe the newest, but he's awful.
There's
Slim Love is
Slim Love. Langford is like kind of not the worst card in the world. I'd probably take Love, but it's a really cool round. Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Online league, I think it depends. Like, I think a good online league could be really fun, but I don't know. It's not something I want to spend the time committing to if I'm playing PT also.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd want to just be super competitive on.
Is that my no? I'm not. I'm not really chasing the PTWC Hawkmoon.
Bid probably would be tough to level too, right? Or I guess is it expensive enough that you just?
He played for a while, but at this point, if you're buying a PTWC, you're just going to spend whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So. But he played for a number of seasons. So my guess is there are some teammates. Let me see.
All right.
Kind of curious.
Let's see. So Butler's new. Well, yeah, he would have had teammates. The question is how many are in the game. Just because sort of more of the cards in the game are the newer ones, right? Let me see. McPhee.
Okay, Bug Holiday. There is a Bug Holiday card.
It's a silver, right? So yeah.
There's a John Riley LE. Pop Corkhill has a silver.
I put it in the Baseball Savant thing, and it's pulling up no teammates for him.
Yeah, Baseball Savant doesn't work when the player's too old.
Okay.
I don't know why. Arlie Latham has a high diamond. That's probably the best. 6 seasons for Arlie Latham.
Okay, so that's not so bad then.
He is, yes, 6K high diamond. So that's probably what you're going for. That's going to be what, 75 times 30?
Yeah, and then
Only,
there's a, and
oh,
then there's
75 32.
and then there's a handful of bronzes and stuff too. Like there's a Hugh Nickel or something. There are a handful of bronzes.
Yeah, so he's going to be expensive but not miserable. Oh, Tony Mullane is a silver also. Okay, so he's not going to be miserable.
Everybody's miserable.
Well, right, he's going to be relatively not miserable.
All right. Okay. Speaking of, all right. So Butler here is the newest.
Butler is new.
Bankhead
And
is flexible, but was dropped off a bit. But what else have we got? I mean, Daly's.
yeah,
It's probably still Bankhead, right?
still Bankhead.
All right.
Yep, Butler Bankhead.
Oh well, this Chew is good.
Yeah, Chu's really good. We have 0 pitchers, so
Okay.
that's
Castillo is.
better than.
I hate the
Hampton,
shape,
so.
but new.
No, Castillo's good. Castillo's good.
Yeah, I just hate the shape. This Mookie's not awful, but we need the pitcher.
Yeah, we need the pitcher. The Betts is okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Crochet is still new and still not as good as I'd like him to be.
Dave Henderson is quite splitty, but his VL is good.
So this Lemon was new-ish, right?
Yeah, Lemon's probably fine. Probably Lemon.
It's probably
He's not
Lemon and
great,
Crochet. I mean, Henderson. Yeah, Henderson is good one way. Well, actually, no. I think because we have Chew, it should be Henderson, right?
All right.
I mean,
I'm fine
because
with
Chew
Henderson.
just needs a partner.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting set of decisions.
I mean, I want to take Nolan Ryan.
No, you don't.
I do. It's really not a bad card. I mean, it's a little old, but it was pretty good on release.
So Concepcion also plays second, right?
Yeah,
So
Concepcion's
it's probably
okay.
Concepcion.
Catway's okay. Inja's okay.
I mean, it probably is supposed to be Ryan, but because he's also a reliever.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be starting what we got right now, so we get to hit all the good runs.
You know what? No, he can't. He has 51 stamina. He can't be starting.
No, that's fine. He'll start fine. I mean, they'll all get knocked up by the 4th inning anyway, so who cares?
You know what? What if we catch Inge?
I mean, aren't we just taking Petway then?
Well, yeah, but
No, Concepcion isn't doing anything, right? Because we already have Johnson and Bankhead. LeMahieu's at third, Johnson and Bankhead are at middle.
yeah, well, he's a good backup, is what he is.
Yeah, I don't know. I still want to take Nolan Ryan.
All right,
I want to take Ryan and Petway, I think. Or
we'll take
yeah,
Ryan
fine.
as a reliever. Why not? Petway's bat's really not good though. The glove's good, but the bat is not great.
Inja's not awful. I'm all right with Inja.
I guess Inge is a little bit too much VL. All right, we'll go Petway. Why not? It's another switch hitter. Okay. Well, Hamlin is a
Hammond's pretty
bat.
good. Yeah, Hammond's pretty good.
We're still desperate for pitching.
And we got none.
Um,
I guess we could take Darren Oliver. I mean, he isn't that good, but he's new-ish. And
this is the wrong Silver Pedro, right?
Yeah, well, that's not even. It's a different Pedro Martinez. Even that's not even the same player.
Oh,
There
you're right.
there are two 79s of the actual Pedro Martinez. One of which is terrible, and the other one of which is decent.
Right.
But yeah, that's
All right,
that's
I'll
a
probably
different
do
guy.
something like this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Baumholtz is probably the best option here. We desperately need a pitcher, so if you're desperate, Necro is a pitcher?
Yeah, Necro is fine.
I don't see
Knuckleball
what
maybe
else to
helps
do.
with the stamina stuff. Yeah.
I
Either.
don't see what else to do.
No,
I mean, I'm worried to
nothing
begin with that this is our 6th pitcher and we're this late in the draft because,
Yeah,
Because
it
these are
would be a lot of
all
pitches.
twos, right? So we only have 8 more cards, and we'd like to take probably 8 pitchers, maybe even 9 pitchers out of those 8 more cards.
Yeah, are we really gonna pass Jack Glasscock though? Is that's like the best bronze.
We do have to take Glasscock. All right. But we're taking pitchers the rest of the way, okay?
Okay.
I'm just looking, by the way, and noticing that we don't have a lot of. We only have 8 pitchers to pick from after. Sorry, no, we have 12 to pick from, but we have to pick over half of the remaining pitchers.
Well, let's get started then. Uhas, I think, was better than Kalmus from what I remember from launch. So
Yeah,
let's
I
go
mean
with
they're
him.
all awful, but you know, um, yeah. All right. We're just ignoring everything with the pitchers here. Don't even tempt me with. Oh, that Lance Johnson's really tempting. um.
There's no choice. All right, we just have to.
Well, Halama, I remember
I don't
being.
know. These pitchers are all terrible. Like launch bad. Not even
They're
just.
bad long. Yeah, Halama, I
Yeah.
remember having a shape. Gant has no shape. Uh,
This is more doomed than the other one.
it's probably Commenter. Oh gosh, no, look at this one.
Yeah,
Uh, Commenter.
I guess.
All right. We really need like 5 more pitchers now with how bad these pitchers are. We need 5 more. We need 5 more pitchers from the Iron Rounds.
Yeah, it's a small problem. Okay, Medic and Salazar.
Wait. What about Bueno? Hold on.
No, let's not take him.
No Bueno?
No bueno.
I don't hate this shape.
I do. Especially in gold.
Medic I like. But, hold on. But look at the Medic versus Bueno thing. He's not going to
Yeah.
strike out gold guys. Look at how much control I'm getting.
He will. He will. Actually, it's a pretty. He will strike out some gold guys. I think. Like I think in I don't know because I don't know what the pool is like, but if you made me play launch pitchers now against irons, I wouldn't. Bueno wouldn't even be close to making the roster. I don't think.
We see any of these guys strike out.
Hold on, wait. Isn't Jordan Walden? I haven't looked at this card for 1 second, but I think that card was released yesterday. Jordan Walden.
Wait,
So it's probably
that was
good.
hold on. That card was released yesterday. All right. Let's actually look at all these cards real quick.
Okay, so it's definitely Walden. Yeah, like that one.
Yeah.
The best.
Oh,
Tyler Chatwood. Wait, Chatwood's decent too. I didn't see him either.
Chatwood.
He's so.
Oh, no. But he's not going to give up homers. So yeah.
He's absurdly slitty, but yeah.
All right.
Okay.
No bueno.
No bueno.
All right, we have no starters left. We have 3 relievers left, and we need to take 3 more pitchers in the last round.
Right on pace. And
They're all 40s.
okay, so Jeff Wallace and Johan Ramirez have 12 control. I'm not making that number up. It's actually 12.
Yes. So the question is, would we rather take one of them, or would we rather only have 12 pitchers?
The problem is that some of these guys are actually good. Alex Cole is a real card. Ellie Rodriguez is a real card. Kawasaki's kind of a real card. Billy Sullivan's a real card.
Yeah.
I don't know how much better the 12 control guys are than... Okay, do any of our position players pitch? Like, oh, wait, Bankhead. Bankhead is pitching. No, Bankhead is pitching. I remember.
Wait, he does. That's true. Bankhead pitches.
Okay.
Now he can't be a starter.
But it's okay. We don't take the 12 control guys then. That's really the...
All right. So we probably
We'd probably
the 12
control guys just... barely count.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
I like Cole. We'd
yeah.
probably prefer an infielder because Arlett plays first, but like Hickman's also really an outfielder, and Petway's
Yeah, in
also
hindsight,
really an
maybe
outfielder. We really prefer an infielder.
maybe we should have taken Inge in hindsight.
I told
I
you we
think
should
it
have
would help
taken
out
it.
a bit
Actually,
more.
maybe
But
it's Kawasaki then. I mean, he
yeah, Kawasaki's not bad.
plays three position
Um,
defense.
I
Yeah, it's probably
Kawasaki
Kawasaki.
is pretty reasonable.
And if you tell him to pitch, he probably has more than 12 control.
Yeah, um,
All right.
probably.
All right. I think we did it. Um, no, 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 not Nolan Ryan.
I mean,
Wait.
what else are we doing?
Hold on. Who are we replacing him with?
You're not. Nolan Ryan was a
Bankhead's not
starter.
allowed to start, right?
Yeah, Nolan Ryan is definitely a starter here.
Bankhead has
He
7
has like
stamina.
5 stamina.
I can't believe I'm putting an aggressive tiredness hook in, and I think my best shot at not blowing up the bullpen is a lot of middle relief.
I mean, Jordan Walden, honestly, is probably the second best pitcher in this bullpen.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot of middle relief with Walden and Oliver used more often. Bankhead, we can list as closer. No, I think we
Bankett's
actually.
bad.
What?
I don't think Bankett's any good. I think he just won middle relief too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, legitimately, Walden is.
Ryan has to start. He has 51 stamina.
It's fine.
He has 51 stamina for a guy with a ton of stuff and no control. He's going to get through like
It's
2
fine.
innings.
They all get through 2 innings. They go 6 runs in the 2 innings.
Fine.
This is the moon we play on.
Yeah. All right. This is probably a good one to wrap up, unless I can build this thing.
Nah.
But
I think that's a good place to.
all right.
to
Is there
end it.
somebody we can raid? I don't think there's any OTP stream going right now.
Does not appear that way.
I see Cheeky's in chat, right? You stream. You weren't planning on streaming, were you? Because if so, we can raid you. Otherwise, let's see. Well, I guess Doc is doing something else.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're done here, Cheeky, for the night.
Should we raid Doc?
Fine with me.
All right. Well, let's do this again. Hopefully, if 26 is like remotely playable.
We'll see.
I mean,
Oh, if you have a question, Cheeky, go ahead.
because I definitely enjoy streaming with you enough that I'm happy to I'm happy to try to stream if we don't do a PT stream. I just don't know what we would do instead.
Yeah, listen, streaming is streaming PT was fun when we were playing it seriously, but
Yeah.
at some point it just became kind of silly. So, yeah,
But you said you had a question, right?
yeah. If you got a question, go ahead.
Ooh, you know what we could do? All right, here would be a challenge. So let's say I want to build this roster. Can we build this roster? Actually, see if we can put a clock up. What would be a good clock to build this roster in, given that it's just like throw the good cards on and the.
I don't know. It's hard because I don't know what you have exactly, so I'm going to end up testing cards you might not own.
Let's assume that if I don't have it, I could just probably buy it unless it's crazy to buy.
Well, no, the thing is that tournament edition cards aren't listed because people are going crazy Like they don't exist on the shop. Is the problem because
Oh.
people are just buying them at any price to do the missions for Ruth. Like literally any price.
So I should rip my other tournament packs.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Okay, so what would be a good challenge to speed build a PTWC roster?
I know it's a pretty easy one. 5 minutes.
5 minutes? We can do 5 minutes. All right. You have a theme team roster, Padres. Anyone who's played on Padres or any minor league affiliate team. Okay.
Okay, Dave Winfield. That's the only card in the current perfect meta that you can play, I think.
Let's think.
Yeah, that should be it.
Hold on. No, it doesn't quite work, but I feel like I'd still just have Ricky on the team because Ricky wants to play on that team.
He did play with the Padres, right?
Didn't he play the Padres for like a season?
Yeah, he did play for the Padres. He isn't that great anymore, but yeah, he should still make a theme roster.
I think you should make a theme roster.
What else exists?
No, okay, he played for the Padres twice.
Didn't Ted Williams play for some San Diego something early in his career? I don't know it was what exactly, but let's see. Kimbrel makes it.
Was there no Gwyn this
Like
cycle?
Adams, I guess.
Was there no high-end Gwyn this cycle?
There was a 101 Gwyn that was pretty good for a little bit, tournament card, but then it fell out.
But no high-end. There's a decent Hoffman, I guess. Like, compared with the...
Yeah, Hoffman's okay compared to the other junk. Let's see, what else exists? 104 Greg Maddux. It's not great, but did play for the Padres for a season.
I feel like I'd stick Ozzy on that team just because.
Yeah, Ozzy probably makes it. Oh, the Diamond Hoffman. Yeah, Diamond Hoffman player is better than the 102. That's a good point.
I guess if you're just looking for the best perfects you can run, probably the Tatis is still in the discussion.
Sheffield is going to make it.
Yeah, Tatis is probably in the discussion.
Yeah, Tatis is probably on the roster. Let's see. Gaylord Perry played for the Padres, I think. I'm remembering that wrong. I could do remembering that one very easily. Oh, he did. I remember. Yeah, Lamette's not great. Kevin, this is his Diamond Kevin Brown. That's definitely bad. There's no other Kevin Brown here. That's definitely bad.
You could just pretend and go with Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, the other one. You could play the 71 Pedro Martinez.
There was it's been a while. I was gonna say there was a McCovey, but it's been a while.
The Cano's. Is there really no better second baseman than that Cano? There must be. The Cano's
There must
so old.
be some. Is there really no better? Hold on. Well, okay. I guess there's no Roberto Alomar, right?
Yeah. No, the second base is pretty.
Oh no, you know who might be better? Is it possible that Gold Loretta is actually better than the Cano?
No, definitely not. The Gold Loretta is terrible.
Oh, there's that newish Diamond Machado, right?
Yeah, that one should be on the. I think that one is on the roster. In fact, here, that one should definitely play, but not second. Tony Perez. Yep, that makes sense. Piazza. Yeah. Terry Kennedy. That's really ugly. But catcher is usually hard with these teams.
One year we'll get a good Benito, I guess, but I guess we haven't really seen one yet. Right?
Yeah.
Are you down to running like that new Rod Beck or something?
The pitching looks actually pretty decent to me here. I don't think there's going to be a lot to. This pitching looks pretty reasonable. Except for this Kevin Brown. This Kevin Brown really needs to go. This card is awful. Um, Andy Johnson played for the Padres. Dwight Gooden didn't play for the Padres. Oh, it's PTMS anyway. Strider, no Santana. That's bad.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I mean, the best ones I'm thinking of are probably still too far back. Like there's a newer Giles or something, but
Yeah, that one. Sir, who's Sergio Santos? Jays, and he went one of the White Sox. Padres.
Huh.
Did Rich Hill ever play for the Padres? He played for like every other team. Because that would definitely be a card you'd want. That card is quite decent. Let's see. Yes, he did. Yeah, Rich Hill.
How good is looking at the
want.
pitching?
Rich Hill's like actually in the league meta in the bullpen. He's good.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. Brian Harvey. Why do I feel like he played for the? Yeah, I'm going crazy. I'm probably going crazy.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
seeing.
going crazy. You did not.
Wait, that cannot be right. Carlos Zambrano. What would you guess his career WAR was?
20?
That's about what I would have thought, right?
Yeah.
Would you believe it's like almost 45?
45? Is that just getting? Is it how much of that is from his bat?
Can't be that much. I must be misreading this, but yeah, 38.3 BREF.
Wow.
So I was looking at difference.
That's
Yeah,
a
38.3. That is a lot, isn't it?
Okay, Fangraphs only has him at 30. So there is. Well, let's look at his batting. What does Fangraphs give him for his batting? Fangraphs gives him 6 wins for his hitting.
Okay, so yeah, so that's where the others come from. Yeah, because my 38.3 is the. I think is the pitching WAR, right? And then he hits. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
crazy.
5.6 hitting, 38.3 pitching. He's at
15
44 WAR.
That's 15% of his value is from hitting as a pitcher. That's pretty amazing, actually.
That yeah. No, but 44, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I would not have guessed that. Can we do better than Terry Kennedy at catcher? One would hope. There is 100 Ethan Salas, but its card is really old.
I mean, at one point, tennis was at least sort of meta for something.
Who's good silver? Yeah.
There's that. Okay. There's the gold Grandal.
Gold Grandal actually might be. Gold is he's only better than Terry Kennedy.
He's out. I'm not misremembering, right? He is.
No, Gold Grandal's good.
No, I don't mean the card. I mean.
Oh yeah, I played for the Padres.
Sure. I'm not misremembering that he started in the Padres.
Yeah, he did play for the Padres. I think he actually started somewhere else and got traded to the Padres as a prospect. I think he started. I don't remember. Oh, he started with the Reds. He was a Reds prospect and was traded to the Padres for someone. Matt Latos, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't remember.
There were a bunch of weird Padres trades that I never quite. I clearly can't evaluate anybody involved in the Padres.
Neither can AJ Preller.
I also thought Will Myers was going to be.
Yeah, well, everyone was in love with Will Myers. So just working on.
But I also thought Anderson Espinoza was going to end up.
He was injured constantly, right?
Yeah.
Like endless injuries. Yeah, it looks like Grandal. I think Grandal is the best bet probably for backup catcher. That's a good call there.
Yeah, maybe Grandal's is the answer.
First base would also be good to improve on because those cards are old.
Sorry, you're running it first again. I was
McCovey and Grimm.
because McCovey probably is McCovey, right?
That'd be so old. Okay, so hold on.
Okay, yeah, I just misremember a lot of like Brett Gardner also had a lot more career WAR than I realized.
Yeah, it's all defense. It's like entirely defense.
Yeah, 44 career WAR.
Grandal greater than full. Yeah, almost certainly cheeky. Grandal is like gold meta, and Kennedy wasn't even at the time he was new. So I assume that
Right.
it's not close. Yeah, Piazza's the starter on this team, Tucker. That one, that's the only real. I mean, not that Piazza's really a playable card in the league, but compared to Golds, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I don't really.
clearly you gotta be pushing Spore to release more Padres.
Yeah, I think the okay, assuming this is the good Maddox, Rich Hill for probably one of the relievers and put Brown in the bullpen. That seems like the biggest upgrade. Yeah.
All right, let's do this. All right, so let's do a max 5-minute build. See if we can do it, and then we'll raid Dr. D.
Alrighty, so let's see.
All right, I'm clicking set roster, so you'll be able to see what I have. And I don't, I'm happy to buy anything that's not crazy, but I am not willing to level a combinator, which means I'm not going to buy a combinator.
Great. So, okay, let's put in Irvin and McPhee and Tulowitzki.
All right, hold on. I
I
don't want to start the clock at least until this loads, because otherwise that's not fair, right? So it's going to load. I'm going to give it a strategy. All right, we ready?
Yep.
Start on the clock. Here we go.
All right.
I don't want duplicates. I want high duplicates. I want eligible. All right, we should be starting. What are we starting? Hitting or pitching?
Let's do hitting. I think it's easier.
All right. So what do we got? We got to have Irvin for sure.
Irvin, McPhee, Tulowitzki.
Remember McPhee's overall?
96.
Thank you. And Tulo.
99.
Makes sense. All right.
Okay, center field or right field, we probably want Larry Walker.
Still the 99, right? That
Yep.
makes sense. Center, Kane is the cheaper option, I guess, but
Kane's not that good. Catcher, we're gonna punt, I assume, or semi.
let's start pitching just because at least we want the starters in,
Well,
right?
maybe I should probably better way to start. What combinators do we got? Like any
None.
new good ones?
Nothing. But I've got cheap combinators, but I've iron combinators. That's what I've got.
Okay, well that's not gonna help us much, unfortunately.
No, we're not going to win. All right, let's just go top pitchers. So what do we got? Like I'm thinking
Robbie
like
Ray. Killing, short.
So hold on, what do we got? I'm being slow to click.
I'm not looking at anything here. This is just from memory, so I don't have
Schilling definitely want. Chris Short, was he
Sterling, Chris Short is
97?
good.
I'm trying to remember.
98.
Do I not have Chris Short?
He's at TE.
Okay, I want Robbie Ray for sure. Let me see if
Yep.
I don't have Short. If I don't have Short, that's a problem.
I mean, I think Short's mittens livable without Short.
150K. Should I just buy him? Let me see.
No, I think we can live without Short. Short's not that crazy. You probably want Zane Smith.
Zane Smith. So I've got my model would say Smith, Schilling. Whatever. All right, I'll decide in a second. Do I have Zane Smith? I do have Zane Smith. To go this dry. Actually, how about I kind of like this Drysdale.
Sure, Drysdale's fine. I think there's a bunch of interchangeable pitchers. That's 4, right? So we should stop and see if we want the 5th one or not.
It's a big cap, right?
It's 12.
12.
But you probably end up playing 11 because I think it's going to be too hard to fit the 4 guys with 12. What I remember.
Yeah, I think we probably want a 5th then.
All right. So I don't know. Pick one of the other bunch of them. There are a lot.
Is there anyone cheaper? I mean, Lester's the cheapest. That's even close.
Scherzer and Woodruff are 98s.
Yeah, all right, let me see which one they've got. Woodruff is the one I like. Well, yeah, we'll go Woodruff. All right, so that's fine. Yeah, whatever. I'll stack the righties, stack the lefties. What's the worst that could happen? I could go all 5 lefties. Actually, should we go all 5 lefties? That would get smashed in this
I
park.
don't think it matters much. Yeah.
All right. So now catcher, we're punting. We think, right?
Probably. I mean, really, this doesn't come down to if you have any decent like new combinators any place, then we should play them.
I've got most of the iron and bronzes.
Okay, well, let's put some of those in then.
Sure. Here's our combinator selection. Let's do it that way. Oh, I have a Lawrence Butler combinator. There you go.
Let's not play that. We could play Call of Vito. Call of Vito's pretty good. That would save some points.
Sure. Let's throw Colavito in there. We're gonna have to scroll down. This is where I have more of the useful combinators. So, Joyner, Parker.
Parker's probably. Oh, we have a lot of outfielders though. Parker's probably still good.
Parker's probably still good. So you know what? I could run Maurer as one side of a platoon.
Yeah, Maurer plus some low guy. I assume you've got some West.
Benedict, maybe Benedict, or just go low. Just go low.
I would probably go all the way down. I think if you're gonna do that, you need Molina, like the middle.
Do I have? I'm trying to remember if I have Molina. I do have Benji. I have Benji. Yeah.
Okay, then that's probably also decent. He's really good.
Could run Bronze Ozzy at short.
That's probably fine. Oh no, we have. Oh, we don't have a short. We have no short. Yeah,
well, we have
Tulowitzki
who's playing short. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do that. What do we need? Third and center.
Yeah.
How many points do we have?
70, and we have to make a bullpen. But I actually have I have kind of all of the good bronze pitchers too.
Where's Irvin playing right now? Because we can move him.
First. That's
okay.
wrong.
That's got to be wrong. I mean, he's the best first baseman too, but.
Third's actually probably a pretty good spot for him because it keeps him in the lineup a little more than some of the others.
Yeah. Okay. So let's find. Oh, what first baseman?
So I could run Joyner Molitor.
Joyner Molitor is expensive, but it's good. Okay. Yeah. Put Parker, and we play Walker in center, and we'll find a platoon for Parker with Maxwell or something.
Yeah. So let's say we do that. So here's what that. It still doesn't want to put anybody in center.
We'll put Walker in center and Parker in right. Yeah, that's got to be better.
Well, let me see what my center field options are here. The cheap end, the irons like Friel, Willits. If you go cheap.
Friel. I really like having Friel on a lot of these rosters.
Yeah, I think I want Friel somewhere. We're currently over the cap, by the way, but
Oh, great.
Well.
Probably one of our first baseman. First baseman is probably too expensive. Probably we have to get rid of one of them.
Or we do go 4 starters, but
yeah.
Well,
Okay, this looks fine otherwise. Walker in center, Parker in right, Real someplace. I don't know. Looks okay.
Molitor actually can DH versus right. He just doesn't want to.
No, I'm all of that. I don't want to do that.
He's just so good VL that I think we want him on the roster.
Maybe Will Clark. We can kill Joyner for Will Clark. That's probably not that much of a downgrade.
It's possible. Well, let's look at the pitching too, because I think maybe we want to do. Maybe we actually want to. Hold on. Right now we have 11 hitters. I'm just thinking. Do we want to run 14 pitchers?
I think 13 will be plenty in this because we're gonna max all our starters and.
Yeah. All right. All right. We're not doing a good job at a 5-minute build. We got to be quicker here.
No. All right. I'll put all the 40 pitchers in. All the low guys. I know Valdez, Ryerson, Welsh.
Okay, so we got Wright, Steeb, Hawkins, Cornejo.
Sure. Yeah. Whichever ones you got.
Ryerson's fine. Constanti's probably the best 45 if we go up that high, but I'll wait. But see, because the thing is, I do have I have the Charlie Lee, Jose Lima.
What are our? We have
Actually, this Dave Roberts is potentially. This Dave Roberts is great as a 67.
The Dave Roberts is pretty good. What do we have for low hitters?
Hunts.
Hunts is fine, yeah. Hunts. Oh no, Maxwell. That's good. Okay, probably Molina has to go for Westrum. It's just too expensive, and there aren't a lot of lefties in Diamond.
Yeah, Westrum, or do we go up a little bit? Because O'Neill's a lot better than Westrum.
O'Neill's probably okay too. I don't know. It's whichever we have points for.
Well, okay, hold on. We have 6. The question is, are we going to try to do this?
Oh, wait, no.
Bring a starter. Because if I drop one starter, then I could get Roberts and a real.
Okay, shouldn't we? Let's just do a Backman platoon, Backman field platoon someplace.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Backman's great.
Yeah. Backman field are really good.
So if I do it this way right now, I have 13 hitters, which is kind of what we want to get to anyway, right?
So what's our?
They're trying to run Friel in center and Parker. Okay, I guess if we did it that way, Friel in center and Parker.
Well, we should put Backman in. So we should put Friel in. We should put Backman at DH or something, and or move the guys around some.
Walker,
or put Irvin.
Parker.
Or put Irvin in the out. Or put Irvin in the outfield and Backman at third, whichever way you want to do it. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I'm looking at defensively.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Irvin probably shouldn't DH, so probably Irvin should play right. Parker should DH.
Yeah, and put Backman at third.
Backman plays third. Yeah. And now Joyner becomes Molitor. Parker becomes Molitor. Friel ends up playing because Joyner is the better two-way by a little bit. And Mauer becomes Molina for the moment, but we may move it. So right now we're 15 points over. So option 1 is no Molitor, right? And option 2 is we turn a pitcher into like a couple of the bronzes. Yeah.
I mean, if you had a Savali, that's what I do, but I'm guessing you do not have a Savali.
Not Combinator.
Yeah. Or like a Buckholz or McClanahan, probably also, but no.
Roberts is efficient.
I'd probably get rid of Molitor, but I really want to get rid of Molitor for like Jackie Brandt or Maxwell or last name's Millage.
Sure, I've got a Brandt.
Brandt is good.
The The thing is, Molitor is legitimately a diamond first baseman
No,
VL.
Molitor is really good, but there's a the thing is that like diamond lefties there aren't so many.
Well, we're running two.
I think most teams will run one.
Because because we're running two, and two is enough that it is a big
Two is
advantage,
enough.
right?
I think on average it'll be a little over one per team, like 25% lefty starters, something like that.
So how bad is it if we don't have our fifth starter?
Not that bad from a value point of view, but it risks bullpen getting killed. The starter pitches badly.
Because let's say because Roberts is really efficient is part of what I'm thinking about.
No, Roberts is fine.
And if possible, I'd like to have at least one adult in the bullpen.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's get rid of Woodruff and put in Roberts.
So let's say we got rid of So let's say we did that. And that leaves us 16 points right now, right?
Okay, so it's 16 points for a bullpen.
Right.
How many more do we have to go? How many more players do we need?
3, I believe.
All right. Let's see. Do we have like an Oberg type?
So the other thing about Roberts, it gives us a third lefty, which might be nice in this cap. Okay, you know what? Is there any way we can run 5 lefties here?
Needs Chris Short.
I could buy Short. And then the
I
last
don't
one
know.
might be what? Shorik?
Yeah, Short's okay. I don't know that it's so helpful really in the end, but
No, I can't buy Chris Short. He disappeared.
yeah. Rip.
Um,
I told you that they sell for any price.
actually, hold on. Do I have a? Let me see what I've got. I opened a few of these, but fetching chat choice pack day there. Okay, I've got a high diamond. Let's see if I get Short.
All right.
Well, I got Shorik, but I already have
Works.
Shorik.
Oh, you can play Carl Spooner. That's not the worst.
Okay, so we could go Shorik and then Short, right?
Well, to find a short, but yes.
I'm sure I could find a Short from somewhere, right? We have our ways. All right, let's see. Yeah, it could be fun to run 5 lefties and see what happens, right?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I don't think it makes a huge difference because it's a cap, but
No, but to whatever extent people run these splitty cards, because you might get some Mark Grace types. Right?
yeah, I don't know. There's gonna be with the big cap. I don't know how much platoon ends up being. It's like 1 or 2 platoons probably.
So if we get rid of Schilling Drysdale, then that would give us. So Shorik, I assume, and Short are the 2 to put in.
Yeah, probably.
Is there anything else? Let me see if there's anything else that looks competitive.
Spooner, Imanaga.
Imanaga
I
would be
guess.
the next, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Imanaga would be the next. Whoops. I worry a little bit about Spooner from the stamina point of view. But yeah, he probably would be. Well, in fact, I'm going to put him on the roster until I get Short, right? He's the placeholder. He's the placeholder for
it's
Short.
1 extra point. It's 1 extra point, but yeah.
Short tonight is 98. Yeah, okay, so he's the placeholder, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So something like this. And if we did it that way, that leaves 18 points, right?
Look, it's just enough to fit Savali.
I wonder what Savali costs at the moment.
There was one up recently.
There's one up for 955,000.
I don't think that's everything.
Yeah, I will also say I don't quite understand, because this is a card that doesn't do as well when people micro against it.
I mean, it's a really good card. Like
It is
it's
no, it is a really good card. Um,
it's a bronze that's an iron. So
you know
it's
what? We haven't rated cards on stream. Should we rate one and give him an S plus?
I think that's a fair rating.
All right, we're giving an S plus on the stream. Um, so what does that leave us with? Okay, so I could go Constanti, and then probably it's Constanti Gullickson still, and then I've got 2 points for something.
I think I played Piche actually.
Piche, so Piche would give me then probably it's in Porcello.
Yeah, it seems okay. I don't love Porcello. Actually, I don't love Constanti, but
Okay, well the alternative is I
you
go.
got the common. You got the commoners you got. So
Yeah, well the alternative is I mean Hoffman, Wise could be fine too if I put it all into one.
No,
What?
that's bad. That's definitely bad.
I mean Charlie Lee is also pretty efficient.
Charlie won't fit.
No,
So I don't think that's gonna work.
we'd have to find a way to do it. May is efficient. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
Just do the 3. Yeah, Piche, whatever else.
That's not so bad. All right. So what does that leave us with? That leaves us. What does it think our bullpen should? That was not what I intended to do. But you know, it thinks Piche should be the closer.
I mean, I just stick everyone middle relief here. I just want someone to come in who isn't dead.
I think that's about right. Yeah. We'll let the AI figure it out. It knows how to manage bullpens, right?
I can probably count the number of times I've set any like bullpen other than all middle relief since the advent of Moonball in one hand.
All right. So Friel probably is our primary backup here.
Yeah, it's just keep Backman away from the lefties and whatever else is fine.
Yeah, I think so. So Hunt's instead of Backman at all these positions. Yeah, this is this
looks really good.
As builds go, this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, this will do fine until you get to someone who actually has cards, and then you'll lose.
All right, what do I have to bid for Chris Short? Do you think?
I sold a bunch of those the last few days.
All right, I'll put 125 up. If I can't get him for 125, then
There's no upper limit. It appears I think I sold one for 200K. Like it's insane. I've sold gold for 75K. People just people have points and they to spend them on. So the prices just go up indefinitely. It's not a great state of affairs. Anyway.
All right, I think I might be able to find one for 125. There we go. I magically found one for 125.
Look at that. Amazing.
Amazing how that works. Whoops, Shorik was not the one I meant to take off the roster, though. So we have an extra point.
Nothing to spend it on, right?
No, but hey, there was a cycle where that was in
I
vogue,
guess
right?
you could play Ichiro if you had him instead of one of the 45s to get an extra position player.
You know what? He might actually be a better pitcher than some of those too, right?
Probably is, yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. Sure, I got an Ichiro.
Yeah, I'll play Ichiro. Ichiro's good.
So, the question is, does this get swept in the first round, or do I actually win a round with this build?
I mean, it's random opponents. So if you play one of the 5 or 10 teams that have a bunch of diamonds, you will lose. If you don't, you have some chance.
Well, I could get a C win. You never know.
You could, yeah. You could always end up with one of the gym unknown.
I'm curious. I'll just do it this way. I'll let it try this again, and I'll fix it. No, Ichiro should not be DHing every other. No. See, I was trying to trust it, for the
No,
backups, but just
no, it's not worth.
no, no. All right, that sounds good. Should we raid? Let's go raid Dr. D. Unless I could knock on Dr. D's door and see if we could learn how that feature works.
I think we could just raid him. I don't know what that is. I don't. It doesn't seem to be particularly helpful for us.
All right, let's go raid Dr. D. All right, thanks everyone. I don't know when we're going to stream again. If we're going to, I think we'll stream again something hopefully at some point, even if it's not PT. But let us know what you think about some of these ideas for creating something competitive for 26, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and we'll see obviously what news happens in the next couple of weeks. And
Yeah.
maybe
it could be worse. I'm now teaching. Yeah, I'm now teaching this astronomy for non-majors, which is also fun. But I'll just say we have a wide range of backgrounds for the people in my class, so that's also been eye-opening.
Yep, those classes are interesting.
Yeah, so I have some people. I have some people who come in with a lot of background. Could easily have been science majors if they want to be and just have other interests, and so they're taking it out of interest. And I have some students that don't, and there are some interesting stories I could tell.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I did math and CS in college. And that's some kind of like astrophysics class is definitely the kind of thing I would have just taken in a later year just for fun.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because like for one of them, I had a lab. Well, so I have a lab where I ask them to just kind of go like find where the moon is in the sky at the same hour each night over the course of the phase of the moon, and then like sketch it and stuff. So then you talk about where it is, and then I've got the raid to work. So remind me to tell that story on stream another time. Apparently.
We're still live. We just haven't ended. We just raided.
Okay, well I should have ended. Wait, did Doc just raid into somebody else? Apparently.
Uh-oh.
So.
Just wrapping up myself. I need to get going because I'm going to go out for dinner with a couple of my dear friends and my wife, who's also my friend. Jump on in the raid, folks. We're going to go raid into Kinsun.
Yeah, I'm going to end this in a second.
94.